Hello.
D-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to About the Law today. Today we are doing a live stream. Nice to see everyone. Hope everybody is doing well today.
We already have a few people that have commented. Now I seem to have lost them. I lost them. There they are. There we go. I see them. We have
perfect.
Silent Murmurings and Tina B with the nails. She's a regular. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina. Nice to see you.
That's how we say it in New England, Tina.
Good to see you too. And hello, Truth and Justice with Anna D. How are you doing today? Hello. So today we're going to be trying... Oh, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
You talk.
I was just going to say that today we're going to be starting off with more of a different type of structure. Usually we have a pretty formatted and rigorous, way that we go about things, but we thought we would make this more about the viewers today and just going over some of the crazy stuff that's been happening lately, especially talking about what's going on with Proctor. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Hello, Carol, Donna, McClurk. Thank you guys. Hello.
They said the FBI invaded his private email and they had none of their business to do that. Oh, poor Mr. Proctor.
Oh my goodness, the poor victim in this situation. Well, and the thing is, we've talked about this before, where in any other job that you could have, you would get fired for talking to people like that. And also, I just saw someone commented that Andrew's mic is low. I can also lower my own if I'm a little bit loud in comparison.
This mic is screwed up. This mic is really screwed up. I don't know why. I'm turning it up as high as I can turn it up. Is it any better now?
You know what, Andrew? Maybe check your audio source.
Yeah,
because I didn't notice the difference.
Yeah, the effing thing it's just... All right, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to check out the audio deal.
Hi, Yoli. Hi, Adelax.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't notice the difference if you raised it, but I think we should be good to start. If my volume's still a little bit loud in comparison to Andrew's, just let me know. I'm trying to lower it a smidge here. Can you hear me okay, Andrew? Okay. All right. So I guess I'll let you start off with how you wanted to dive into this. Uh-oh. Say something again, Andrew.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. It sounds like a different audio.
Yeah, this microphone's not working. I don't know why.
Are you still using the Zoom?
No, the Zoom is back in the office.
Okay.
But I've always used this microphone before and it worked, but it's giving me a hard time here tonight. Let me try something. Hang on.
Can you tap it real quick? All right. So while Andrew does that, let's just chat with everybody. I've missed you guys. I've had a crazy summer. I've been traveling to North Carolina, New Jersey. I joke about with the New England serial killer situation. I drive around so much by myself, I kind of get scared. It's like at some random rest stop in Connecticut, I'm going to get, there's going to be an incident. Hopefully not. But I hope everybody else is feeling safe and sound in their homes. I hope everybody's having a good summer. It's the weather was very hot in New Hampshire, I feel, this year. I hope everybody else got beautiful weather. I mean, a little bit of heat we can deal with, but when it gets too hot, it's crazy. All right, welcome back.
How about now? Is it any better?
Tap your microphone. So, I mean, we can hear you, and I think it's a little bit better. I didn't really hear it when you tapped on your microphone, so it makes me wonder what the audio input is, because I feel like I should have heard it louder.
Hang on. Yeah, I think this microphone.
Uh-oh, we lost you again. We lost you again, whatever you did. We can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me right now. Put it to whatever you had it set to before, because we were able to hear you a little bit better before, and it doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah, this microphone was always a pretty good microphone, but for whatever reason, it's decided to shiz the bed tonight. So
We'll have to do some experimenting with that.
I'll throw it in the trash, and I have another microphone I can use, but it's in the office, and I'm at home now. So I'll just have to speak up.
Yeah, and we're gonna be hopefully doing this, guys. We'll hopefully be doing this either every week or every other week. We'll see how it goes along. So we'll have time to fine tune everything and make sure everything's working. But I do want to say, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. We appreciate you coming in. Also, hello, Glarer.
Glarer, I just did that. I have several microphone sources. I know exactly which one is this one and that one. And this microphone comes through as my USB mic, and it's always been reliable, but for whatever reason tonight, it's just decided to S the bed. So, these things happen when you do lives. These things happen. It's always been a reliable mic. I redid the USB configuration, but yeah, I know how to do that. It's just that it's the microphone. So instead of using this microphone, I'm using that microphone, which isn't as good of a quality of a microphone. So anyhow, so you welcomed everybody in while I was fiddling around?
Well, I might have missed in Limony, but hello now, and hello, Custer Crazy Horse. If I missed anybody's personal hello, let me know, and I will get that right to you, because it's obviously a very important part of the stream is having you guys here. Hello, Michelle. Yeah, anytime that if there's ever a time where there's going to be a technology issue, it's always going to be during a live stream, because they know that it's harder to finish with online versus offline. Any issues we have, we're always able to just adjust that kind of stuff.
So, Michael Proctor had his hearing today, and I watched much of it. I was in the office trying to get some work done, as usual, and I had people in and out, so I watched a lot of them. What I'd like to do is play the opening statements of the attorneys. The hearing went really late, so I couldn't start downloading it until late, and I'm downloading it right now. And my download program says that it'll be done in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. So why don't we just talk a little bit, because we're going to have a great guest joining us at 5:30. Mike Crawford of the Young Jurks is going to join us. And we've gone back and forth on the email. He's made some big announcements. Hi, Aaron. There's my friend Aaron from Londonderry.
Oh, hello.
Aaron was at the Norfolk County Superior Court the day of the verdict back on June 18th, and she was in the crowd, and we talked to her. So anyhow, this hearing with Michael Proctor was just crazy. Michael Proctor's attorney, in his opening statements, he was making statements like, I should get my job back. The FBI was, and I quote, infiltrating my personal phone. So it's like he's the victim. He's the victim is the way he's portraying it all. And the attorney for the Massachusetts State Police, they don't want him back. They do not want him back. And they submitted, Massachusetts State Police pre-submitted 36 exhibits against Mr. Proctor. Proctor himself introduced 58 exhibits in this hearing before the Massachusetts Civil Service Commission. And I don't know why he would want his job back. They don't want him, and they're fighting him. So why would he even want to go back? I mean, the point of having, professional police is so, they can conduct investigations and people will respect them. And call me as naive as you want to call me, but police need to be above reproach. They need to have integrity. They need to be trusted, and I'm not going to badmouth police because I have extended family members in the police. in law enforcement. I have represented law enforcement in the past in my career of over 30 years. I know law enforcement locally. I see them. And so I'm not going to badmouth him. But this guy's a bad apple, and you've got to get rid of bad apples. You can't have bad apples, and that's what he is.
Well, it's beyond just being a bad apple. I mean, the way that I interpret it is that he's just trying to save face, and if he gets his job back, then he didn't actually do anything wrong, and everybody's going to forget about this. But I agree with you, where if you're going to have people who are supposed to be, law enforcement, they need to be acting proper. So I'm honestly more shocked that he's even doing this because of how public everything is. If I was him, I'd be hiding my face in shame. I wouldn't want to be seen in the public. And he's just like, all right, we're going to go through all this publicity again, I guess. And we're going to hope that it doesn't end up in his favor. But I feel like everything's so crazy. Who even knows at this point?
Yeah, and the public hearing officer said it's all public. She said there may be times when we need to turn the mics and the cameras off, but for the most part, the hearing is going to be public. There are going to be 3 days. There was one full hearing. I was surprised. Nothing in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts goes much past 3:30. This went right up to 5 o'clock. That's why I'm just downloading the stuff now, or a little bit before 5 o'clock. And so today, tomorrow, and then they'll reconvene on October 21st. And it's just to watch the hearing, and when this finally downloads, it was just slow as molasses in January. I mean, it dragged on. And were you the officer in charge? Yes. How many times have you investigated police? Many times. How long have you been with the Massachusetts State Police? Over 20 years. And it just goes. I have a friend who's a litigation attorney, a very busy litigation attorney, and he once, off the record, and I'm not going to dox him, said, litigation is really an inefficient way to resolve problems, and this hearing is a perfect example of that. I mean, yes, they have to be judicious. Yes, they have to give due process. Yes, all of that is important. But you know what? It just seemed like it took forever to just get through the first day of it. And so, again, we will be having Mike Crawford from the Jurks, who's been right on top of so many stories in Massachusetts over the years, going way back. And I'm not going to say what I was going to say. He was spearheading the effort behind legalizing weed in Massachusetts. He was behind, a lot of things that have been important in Massachusetts over the years, and so I'm really excited that we're going to have him. He's going to make some major announcements either today or on his podcast on Thursday. He's going to have some big announcements, so I'm still trying to download this.
Yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't help that we went live and your internet is probably screaming, especially if it's Comcast. If anybody's in the New England area, the chokehold Comcast has.
It is Comcast. I don't know if we have time. Should we tell a Koberger story, or should we stick with Proctor in this case?
Well, we still have 13 minutes, so if you think that just a little sample of the Koberger story, if you wanted to go through that, I think we can fit that in.
Laney Law, do you remember way back in the beginning of the Idaho 4 case, the Koberger case, and we were crunching down the timeline, and we figured between 4:04 or whatever it was and 4:20 when the white Hyundai Elantra was seen speeding away, give the perp, time to get out of the car, go in the house, and then get out of the house and go to the car. He had 8 or 12 minutes to do the whole thing. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And remember you said you can't even make a bagel in that time? Now, with these new Moscow, Idaho police reports that came in, they actually said whoever did this could have done it in a minute and a half or 2.5 minutes.
What?
I kid you not. Brett Payne, who no longer works for the Moscow police, and another police officer went into the house, and one of the reports details that they timed themselves. They went in the house, they went up the stairs, they timed themselves, they timed themselves, and then to give themselves time for the stabbings, the other officer counted 1, 2, 3, 4, and so they counted out all the number of stabs and how long it took them to run up and down the stairs, and it came out to 1.5 minutes.
Oh my goodness. The way that it sounds like a bull in my house if I were trying to do that. It's like even just me going up the stairs, even my cat going up the stairs. My neighbors were like, "Do you have animals?" Like, because of the sounds of the cat running. You know, he took the deal. So ultimately, like, if they say that's what happened, I guess that's what happened, but it sounds crazy.
And then that was the first run. That was the first run, 1.5 minutes, and then they said, all right, we'll go at a slower, more deliberate pace. And so they did it a second time at a slower, more deliberate pace. Came out to 2.5 minutes.
Oh my God.
Now, there's
I can't
no
do anything
way.
in 2.5 minutes.
There is no way on God's green earth that they did that in 2.5 minutes. There's just no.
Well, try using the bathroom in 2.5 minutes. What is anybody doing in 2.5 minutes? So wash your hands. It was taking me a minute to wash my hands.
Well, I mean, the prosecutor, Bill Thompson himself, in an interview with the New York Times, said that Mr. Koberger must have been in that house before, he thinks, this is his opinion, because of the unusual layout of that house. Because of the very strange layout of that house, whoever committed this crime must have had to have been in there before to know how to get around inside. Because, I mean, if you see the video that we showed on a previous episode, it winds around, and the living room's over here, and the kitchen's over there, and the bedrooms are spread out, and there's actually a very good YouTube episode that someone did showing an x-ray view of it's a recreation, but how the house looks, and it's just so no, I can't. I think that's why, I really don't want to disparage anyone, but that brings into question the integrity of that entire investigation in my mind. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't even understand. It's interesting because I feel like we're never going to get a better resolution to this. Like, it almost, I don't know, it feels very like abrupt and not necessarily logical, but there's not really anything you can do to argue against that or prove it wrong. And as far as going inside the house, I guess one of my thoughts too is like, if you go to all those like Zillow or all those websites that you can actually see the houses, like the home shopping, where you buy homes, you can familiarize yourself to an extent, but even with that kind of stuff, it's not the same. So if he's going and doing anything in 2 minutes, he has to know the house very well. But also, like, I'm just thinking of the stairs. How loud is that? I mean, my gosh.
And the other thing is that, both Kaylee and especially Xana were said to have fought back. So you can't just count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I hope I'm not offending anybody with my hand gestures. I mean, I hear it down below all the time. No matter what you do, somebody's not going to like it. And that's just the way, that's the nature of the beast. I mean, back when we only had a few subscribers, we could get away with more. But now people question us. But what I was going to say is, with Kaylee fighting back and Xana fighting back to the extent that her fingers were almost cut off. And then it wasn't just a quick stab to Ethan. The gashes were extremely deep. And so for a police detective, investigator, officer with a straight face to say they could have done it in 1.5 minutes or 2.5 minutes is just ridiculous. And I don't know. It's just, now my download failed. Failed. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk, and we're going to bring up one of the other news stations. That's what we're going to do. I hadn't counted on that happening, but that's what happens in lives, right?
Yeah, well, it's the curse of a live, where it's like, if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong when you're live. It's not going to happen when we're offline. You got too into the groove of being offline, and now the lives is where everything bad happens.
Yeah. So that's just the way it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find NBC 10 Boston has been nice enough to let us use their stuff. and they've been on top of it. Yeah, I know some of our commenters, they're no good. You know, they do what they do. Some of the reporters are very good. Same with Boston 25. Some of their reporters have been right on top of it. So, Lainey, entertain our guests while I go find something.
Yeah, of course. Let me look through the chat. So let's see. Yeah, Mike, Michelle, people are overly critical. Well, especially YouTube. We love all of our YouTube commenters, but at the same time, especially we always joke about this where it's like you have little one slip up, one little misspeak, and it's like you have to go back and change everything because even though you can infer what we meant, it's people want you to be perfect, especially online. It was good to hear AJ's voice again. Missed him from Teresa. Donna agrees that they fought back. And even with the fighting back, I mean, it's a very just gruesome and horrible thing to think about, but it's 2 minutes is crazy.
No.
Carrie, where have you been? I have been enjoying my summer. I actually just got back from a long trip in New Jersey, so it's been crazy. It's been hectic. I'm still not done traveling. I was in North Carolina. I've been all over the place. New York. I know BK pleaded guilty, but it seems off to me. I mean, he must like to plead guilty. The way that I think is like he must have just thought he was doomed either way and didn't care like what came out about it. The good mans, you guys are always great. Thank you very much. Deborah, thank you. I've missed all of you too. Arca's chicken gun says mammal bladder takes 21 seconds to evacuate. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's just no way. It didn't happen that way. It just didn't happen. It's just crazy. You know, people have been of two schools on that whole case, and following the guilty plea on July 2nd, only a few people went from the, he didn't do it to the he did it category because, he never confessed. Go to Black's Law Dictionary and look up what a confession is. A confession is a statement that includes some details, often details which were unknown. That's what a confession is. But what Brian Koberger did was plead guilty. He pled guilty, and if you look at the plea documents, they're rife with statements of law and not fact. It's like, I plead guilty to Iowa Code Section 1234567. I plead guilty to count 2, Idaho Code Section 5678910. And so he pled guilty, and he did not confess. And our friend Harsh actually did an episode in which I think it was the American Psychiatric Association or another association documented 31 cases where people pled guilty and were later found to be not guilty. 31 cases are documented. I mentioned this in a previous episode, and I meant to maybe do another episode on it. So if people want me to do an episode, let me know down in the comments. But it was very well documented that there were 31 cases of people that pled guilty who were later found not to have pled guilty. And they have various reasons. A lot of people say, well, it's because he feared, the death penalty. He feared going in front of the firing squad. And we don't know. We don't know. I didn't know I actually put that up. I actually put that up.
Woohoo! Yeah, I don't know. With the guilty plea and the not guilty plea, I mean, my only experience, thankfully, with the law and being in court was I didn't lower my high beams once in New York. For anybody who's very familiar with New York, this was 2 a.m. My criminal
firing
behavior.
Squad for you.
But I pled not guilty. I didn't even understand what I was doing. I'm just like, all right, like even though I did not lower my high beams at 2:30 in the morning, I guess I'm still pleading not guilty, and it's off my record, whatever. As long as I didn't get in trouble at the time for like 6 months or something like that. So I'm out scot-free, but guilty versus not guilty, like you said, he could have been scared of the firing squad. It doesn't, we still don't even know. We'll never know his account on what happened, and it just doesn't feel like a satisfying conclusion with the information that we have at hand.
No, it really doesn't. And there was a failure. somewhere along the line. And for the police to just come out with outright silliness that he could have done it in 2.5 minutes is just. I mean, I was born at night. I actually was born at about 2:13 in the morning, but it wasn't last night. And so for them to put that kind of stuff on a report is just crazy, 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 crazy. And the Idaho State Police released 553 pages, and yes, a lot of people are reading them sequentially. The way I read legal documents is backwards. I've always done that. The last 3 documents of the 553 are reports wherein the Idaho State Police went down Ann Taylor's witness list, and the police contacted these people, and most of them had never really even been contacted by the defense team. 1 or 2 of them said, yeah, we were contacted before the preliminary hearing, but we haven't been contacted since. And a couple others said, no, we never received a subpoena, we've had no contact. So, there's a question. I don't know. I've been a big defender of Ann Taylor's. Was she ready for trial?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just don't know. Could that have been a factor? I hope not.
I can't even imagine. The thing is just like I give you guys so much credit as attorneys for everything you do because, we make it easier for people on here going through the documents, but it's a trial like Koberger's seems like an insurmountable load.
Joanna Wig is asking an interesting question. Was the furniture even in the house when they did the time runs? I don't know, but I don't think so because remember, Chief Fry drove the U-Haul over there at some point, I believe in December 22, or early 23 actually. And this report doesn't give the date that they did this, but the report isn't dated until July of 23. So Mike is here.
Yeah,
Mike
perfect.
is here.
I'm gonna add him on in, and I'm gonna just change this up. I'm gonna
Mike
remove
Crawford.
this. Hello, thank you for
Thanks for
joining
having
us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite.
How
Big
are
day.
you? What a day!
Yeah, it's been just wild today.
I couldn't believe that Proctor was talking about, or his attorney, I should say, was talking about how the FBI invaded his private phone as though he's the victim and they came and they just, surreptitiously, dragged this stuff out and it never should have gotten out. That seems to be his defense. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, that's it's funny too because them playing the Jackson clips back, it just reminds you of exactly where we were in the Karen Reed trial. And the fact that they're playing clips from Michael Proctor in the media, just like they used to play Karen clips from the media. It's just like deja vu, and I think Karen Reed had the best day ever. I guarantee you she was watching this, having the best day ever, and he's not. And it just, and it's just amazing their defense. There is no defense, because you just keep playing those videos, those audios over and over again. And then you nail them with, Jackson's own question. Like, you made up your decision so early. You decided she did it before you even knew what was going on here, before you did any investigation. So
yeah, 16 hours in, and he's already making these texts and making the decision that she did it, pin it on the girl has no butt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to get into all of it on this channel, but I wish the camera had been on the judge when they played the clip where he was using the C word. I just wish the camera had been on the judge. I really do.
I know, because you look at the judge and it's a woman judge and a black judge, so you have to have a feeling she's heard some things in the past and experienced things and seen people just like Michael Proctor in power. So it just I would have loved to see what the judge was doing. That absolutely. I wish we had cameras on everybody in that courtroom. Well, whatever you call it today. What do you call it?
Well, it's an administrative proceeding. The Massachusetts Civil Service Commission is an administrative proceeding, so it's a courtroom. It's a hearing room. It's a hearing room. I mean, earlier in my career, I did a fair amount of motor vehicle violations, including but not limited to drunk driving, and those are hearings, and it's a hearings officer. It's not a judge, so it's an administrative proceeding under the Administrative Proceeding Act, but. We're going down into those weeds. I'm sure our listeners aren't really interested in that. I saw you or heard you this afternoon on Grace's show, on Grace Curley's show in Boston.
It's unbelievable because I got to say congratulations to Grace Curley. We love Grace Curley. She just had a baby boy named William. She delivered. this week, so she's out, and her producer was hosting today, Taylor. He hit me up this morning. I was expecting to have a chill day, and then all of a sudden I realized, holy shit, they're letting us broadcast Michael Proctor's hearing. I thought it was going to be all hush hush like it was before. So
Yeah.
the video's out there, and of course they called me and were like, "You want to come on today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And little did I know that Taylor and I were breaking news, and I didn't realize I did it, but Nick Rocco had actually spilled beans about what's Howie Carr's doing this week on Thursday.
What's
with
he doing? What's he
Reed.
doing?
Karen Reed is coming in the studio with Alan Jackson for a 1-hour interview, apparently, on
Wow.
Thursday afternoon. And we broke that today. We broke the news through Nick Rocco, actually. And so that was
awesome.
just amazing. And then I find out that Howie Carr's coming on my show on Thursday afternoon.
Oh, that's great.
Thursday evening, right after that interview. So we're going to talk all about it. And Howie's got some kind of special announcement that I don't even know the details of.
I heard.
That apparently we're all going to be excited about, and he's going to talk about it on my show on Thursday night. And so first time he's coming on my show, this is like, for me, a dream come true, because
That's
so
great.
many
Congratulations.
times, yeah,
That's great.
When I explained myself in the past, it used to be like, I'm a left-wing Howie Carr. Like now I'm just like like, you know, I'm more moderate now too. So like it's funny, but it's just gonna be wild to be on Howie. I used to protest this guy. I used to go after him, but I secretly love him, and I love everything that he does in terms of the investigations, and even going back to the La Costa Nostra and the mafia stuff. He's an amazing person, and it's just an honor to have him on my show.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
and
amazing.
everybody mark your calendars for Thursday. This is going to be a big Thursday coming up. Oh my goodness.
I first started listening to Howie back in the early 1990s. I know I'm dating myself, but I was working at a law firm in Boston, and it was kind of late in the day. The senior partners were gone, and I heard one of the other young associates laughing out loud. He was just screaming and laughing. And I went over to his office and I said, "What the hell is going on in here?" He was listening to Howie berate the Massachusetts House of Representatives for voting themselves almost a 50% pay raise. It was some huge number, and Howie was just berating them one by name, and by reading the legislation, and just absolutely, you know, saying stuff that I'd never heard anyone ever say on the radio before. Stuff that even, you know, the other Howard Stern would never say. Howie was saying, and, you know, just absolutely, you know, destroying the Massachusetts legislature. So I've listened to him every day. Well, not every day, but almost every day since then. I've been with him through the whole Whitey thing, the Whitey Bulger thing. He was on top of that.
Oh, yeah. And
Just
I
a
love the
great guy.
nicknames. He's got the nicknames for
Yeah.
everybody, and like
Yeah.
Moonbat obviously is a big one he uses. But like Nikki, I remember when, like you said, the '90s. I remember I used to be through college a union teamster helper on a truck delivering beer. You know, Miller and Coors Light. We used to listen in the trucks. Everyone would listen to Howie Carr, if we weren't listening to music. And one day he was like, because we were at the Cappies, right? Cappies Liquor.
Yeah, I remember
And the
Cappies.
story of the day was Nick Bravrulis was basically
Nicky
taking
Pockets.
bribes. Yeah, and he's calling him Nicky Pockets.
Nicky
because
Pockets.
he had taken a bribe from the guys that own Cappies to try to get their son out of jail, and Nicky
Yeah.
Pockets had pocketed the money and hadn't even helped out on what he was supposed to do. And I just listened to Howie, and just that was like when I realized, like in reading his columns, and yeah, it's been around so long. It's amazing to see.
I want to
Howie
get back
Carr.
to Proctor, but my last Howie story is my favorite Howie thing ever all these years was not the bums, but the Wizard of Oz. Do you remember the Wizard of Oz? He would play sound cuts of Joe Kennedy. Joe Kennedy? No, the other Kennedy. When he was a state rep, when he was in Congress. And you would have to count how many times he said, He would say, well, we have a bill today, and Howie would have a contest to count the uhs. And I had a secret way of always getting it right, but I never called in. So that was my favorite Howie. But anyhow, to get back to this, I was driving out to get my lunch today, and I thought that Alan Jackson was on that radio station because I thought I heard Alan Jackson talking before I realized it was Taylor Cormier. Taylor actually sounded as sitting in my car, driving down the street, which I thought it was Alan Jackson. But anyhow, tell Taylor that I thought he sounded like him. They did a poll.
He's got a great radio voice, and he's funny as hell too. Like
I know. I
laugh.
wish I used to
Like,
be in that business, and I never had that, deep, dark.
I know, right? It's just that, like, I listen to myself, and I'm just like cringe, but like. He has that voice. He is really good. So doesn't
I'm Ed
Grace.
Cochran, WRKO.
You know who doesn't really have that voice is Howie Carr in a way, even though he's got a classic voice, but he's himself. You know what I mean? Like where you look at like when I listen to Grace or even Taylor, they're like so made for it. Like their voices are perfect for radio.
They are
You guys
perfect for
should be easier on yourselves. Nobody likes your own voices. I think you both
I
have
know.
spectacular voices.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
John
think
Lennon didn't like his own voice, and
There
so
you
there
go.
you go.
There you
Yeah.
go. And I think it's beneficial to me because if I don't like my voice, I don't say stupid stuff as much because I make myself listen back to my girlfriend taught me that. She was in radio, and she used to make me. She gave me my first show actually, so she was kind of my boss on it. So she made me listen back and get better. And so like a lot of times I just shut up because I don't like to listen to my voice.
But that is
station
awesome.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lainey. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that's awesome that you got in the habit of doing that.
What radio
Yeah, I think
station
you
did you work for, Mike?
I have never
Oh, I thought you
I've
did.
never really officially worked for a radio station, even though I've been on a bunch of them, and I'm a regular guest on the Howie Carr Radio Network through the Grace Curley Show. But my girlfriend started at WERS. And
No.
she basically, yeah.
I was on
she had
WERS.
You were.
Yeah.
Did you have a music show? Was it?
No,
or
I was
talk show.
I was actually public relations director one year, and I did the news. I was in the newsroom. We did. I don't know what they do.
Carmelita? Do you know the name Carmelita?
I think your girlfriend and I are different generations.
All right, yeah.
What year did
So
she
anyway,
work there?
I don't even know. I'm not going to date it because she'll get mad at
Okay.
me. She's a little older
That's
than me
fine,
too,
that's
so
fine.
we don't talk about age. But she basically her show was good back then, and the BCN Oedipus heard her and basically hired her.
Oh,
So she
wow.
worked under Oedipus for a little while, and they're friends.
Oh, wow.
And then they had like a
Wow.
falling out, but now they're friends again. I don't even get into it, but I love Oedipus. I've always loved Oedipus. He did stuff for me way back. He probably doesn't even know. We've never actually talked, but they're friends.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then she went to AAF, and she
Okay.
became like the local music director, and
Okay.
it was a local music show. That was it, like just 2 hours Sunday night. So she did that forever. And the reason she picked me for a show was internet radio. So it wasn't real radio. It was like the streaming. It's kind of like this before we had YouTube, and so that's the show that she cast me on. So that's the background.
Well, I don't think there's been anything like WBCN before, or I talk about Oedipus. There's
totally.
been nothing at all on radio
Never.
like WBCN. I mean, I'm a kid that grew up in middle class suburban, southeastern Pennsylvania, middle class. I came to Boston and turned on WBCN my first day. I'm like, no, this isn't real
Yes.
radio. What is this? It was just
I
there's
know.
never been anything like it before or since. It's just
No, it's just an amazing time. They could play what they wanted, and the stories and the lore of it. It's funny because I started hanging out there. I knew some of the people. I know a lot of the people from there, but mostly it's like after the cool period. My girlfriend was, she was there during the cool period. She was there at like the height, like. So yeah, she's got the stories, and it's just
Charles
funny.
Charles
Yeah.
Lockwood-Dara. Now he went to Hawaii, and every now and then he would do a little YouTube. But now he's back
still
in.
around. Yeah.
He's in California, I understand.
Yeah, he's got his. He's on his Facebook, and yeah, he's funny. One time he was giving me shit because I made a joke. I don't know if he knows this about my girlfriend Carmelita. He didn't know, and he started white knighting, and I was like, "Oh my god, are you gonna tell him?" She's like, "Nope." He was like bashing me, and I was like, "He doesn't know it's a private joke among us." And she's
Aw.
like, "It was funny. It was funny because Charles is the man. I love Charles Lackadera.
Charles
We're all
is
on
a
his
great guy.
Facebook. Yeah,
I got
Bradley
mugged
J.
one- What?
Bradley J. You know Bradley J.
No, I don't know Bradley J.
Yeah,
The name
he's
is
another
familiar.
great host. Yeah, he's hosting, filling in right now for Dan Ray on WBZ Radio.
Oh, okay.
So he's a great host too. He's phenomenal.
No, I got mugged one time when I was in law school in Boston. I was fine. Kids took my $17.
No,
and
not
they
the
took
17.
and they took my. This dates me, my Walkman with my cassette. I had
Oh my God.
recorded off air from WBCN one of their great concerts that was WBCN's concert, and that everything else was replaceable. The Walkman was replaceable. My wallet, $17. Yeah, so what? But that tape was irreplaceable. So I wrote a letter to Charles Lockwood-Dara, and you know what he did?
got it?
He taped it, put it on a cassette and mailed it to me, and I'll just
Oh,
never
he's
forget
amazing.
that.
Aw,
What a
that's
nice guy.
amazing.
What a
That's
nice guy.
amazing.
Of course, I told him I'd been listening to him for like 20 years, but anyhow. So let's get back to
He's
how
like,
do we go down to radio? I could talk about radio and TV all day. Trust me, and I'm
me
sure you
too,
could
me
too.
too, me too.
The way we got into that was we were talking about Grace, and I was listening to Taylor Cormier talk about this case today, and they were doing a poll, and the question wasn't what do you think, the question was do you think they will give Proctor his job back, and 70% of the people said no, and 30% of the people said yes. But what he said was an interesting comment. He said even though he hopes that Proctor doesn't get his job back, he won't be surprised, and that surprised me. He wouldn't be surprised if Proctor got his job back. And I just thought to myself, what kind of a state is Massachusetts that would allow everything to go on and not just want to walk away and just have him, go off into the wilderness? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it'd be a tragedy if this guy gets his job back, considering all the evidence that's been shown against him and the public sentiment, and not just the Karen Reed, even though Karen Reed was the focus today, definitely on what was played in the administrative session here, but there's other cases. There's the King case where this guy is allegedly murdered somebody in front of his mother's home, and they let him out on bail, and it's because of Michael Proctor, the King case. And then you got the Walsh case. These guys look like they did it, and they are getting some help from Michael Proctor, so like there's a lot of issues with Michael Proctor and his behavior and how he handled these cases, not just the Karen Reed. So hopefully he doesn't get his job back, but just the chance that he might is pretty depressing. I just hope he doesn't, and I think that we have to I said it today on the show. I said, I think the odds are he's not getting his job back. If I had to bet, that's what I would bet. So let's hope that's the turnout, because I don't think we can have it. Like, if he gets his job back, people are going to be so upset and so disillusioned. That's the problem. People aren't trusting the local government. It's for a good reason, and I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see it not to be superficial. It's to see something real happen. And I think Colonel Noble actually wants that to happen. I think if you look at what they did and the way the state police have handled this today, and the way that this Mass State Police, what was his name? I got his name. Kevin Dwyer. Kevin Dwyer. He was phenomenal. He was what Buchanan and Proctor should have been on the stand. Like, he had no emotion, no dog in the fight. Matter of fact, these are the facts. This is what I found. This is what we want. So hopefully we see some change. Hopefully he doesn't get his job back, and I think that's what we got to count on.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The focus in the public shouldn't be, well, should Michael Proctor get his job back? The focus should be, what can Massachusetts, or specifically Norfolk County, do to rehabilitate themselves and to, get public trust? I mean, if Proctor gets his job back, which is unthinkable to me, stick him on a desk out in Springfield, or sweeping floors in Springfield.
Oh
because
my gosh.
Because, no disparagement to Springfield. I lived there for a year. I'm here now. Proctor was the one that apparently put out 6 subpoenas. You mentioned the Miles King case. Apparently, Proctor put out 6 subpoenas, and Lally gaggled around and only got the returns from, 1.5, 2 of them, and the other 4, even though that case you just mentioned is 4 years old. That's a 4-year-old case, and Lally and Proctor together never got the returns from Proctor's subpoenas to the DA's office so that they could prosecute the case properly. And in my view, I don't think it's going to happen in Massachusetts, but in my view, that's corruption, and is grounds for dismissal of the case.
Absolutely. And I think the judge feels something, because this guy, like you said, it's been 4 years, and all of a sudden he gets bail, and it's a low bail. It's a low cash bail.
Right.
And I look at that other case of the police officer that got shot, where she got no cash bail. They're not letting her out of the hospital there. And she got shot, Lindsay, the North Andover police officer.
Yes.
And they let this guy, Miles King, out. So there's obviously a big issue with the judge in Proctor and Lally and all that to let him out, Miles King.
You know who was amazing in that case was Rosemary Scapiccio when she was going at Lally on the stand. I mean,
Yeah.
she is an amazing attorney, and she was amazing, talking about all of the foibles in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and not getting the discovery out. I mean, Attorney Lally, what is your policy for making sure and ascertaining that you get all of the materials that the police, we really don't have a policy. And that's just shocking. That's just really shocking. I mean,
It is.
Who needs procedure? I did a poll, and I don't know if this is going to surprise you or not, Andrew, but I
What?
put, will Proctor get his job back? And it was 78% people said no, but that still left 13 saying yes and 9% that aren't sure. Well, one more person just voted for no, so that's a little bit telling, but there's some doubt. There is some doubt.
there are,
Definitely.
and this shocked me, moving from Bible Belt, South Central Pennsylvania, where I did, Law and Order and everything like that. And some of my views have changed over the years. But when I moved up to Massachusetts, there's so many people that just, they're all in on the corruption. And I've heard, my
true.
commenters, Mike, I don't know if you get it, but I get commenters that say to me, well, Michael Proctor didn't do anything bad with the evidence. Well, yes, he did. He had a bias. 16, as you pointed out earlier, 16 hours into the case, he was already biased, and a person who might have been possibly a person of interest, he was already deriding the woman and putting her down and saying that, no, haven't found any nudes yet. And so, yes, that does impinge upon the evidence. But there are people out there that are very much for him. Now, I don't know whether some of the proctors have invaded my channel.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, it's funny because half the time they're just, people are nuts out there. There are some just nutty people. Let's just be serious. But half the time it is, like you said, they're in on the corruption or they're friends with the corruption. There's a big gang here, and there's a lot of jobs at stake, and there's a lot of, political contributions, and this is the system, especially in Norfolk County, like especially in Quincy. I've been around this region for I've lived here my whole life. I went to state school, public school. I got a lot of friends all over the state, and Norfolk County, Quincy has always been that place where you make a political contribution, you hold a sign, you'll get a job.
Well, it's the same anywhere in Massachusetts, anyhow. It's the same anywhere.
Well, I
isn't it?
think it's
Isn't it?
even more here. It's the Quincy is just, especially Morrissey too. Like, it's just the heart of it. Like, I actually know people who've done that. I can't think, like, I'm from Essex County. I can't think of anyone who's held signs and gotten jobs, but I can in Norfolk County, in Quincy. I know guys who have done that. So to me, that's a red flag. Like, I'm from up north. You know what I mean? Like, the reason I know people from down south more is because I went to Bridgewater State. So
Okay.
that's just my connection, like, and I know guys who have done that, from that time. Like, it's so, to me, Quincy is always, even when I was doing the cannabis stuff, like, Quincy was always like that kind of diehard place where you were like, we're in a city and we're not winning. Like, usually you'd lose in the country. With cannabis, like, you're not losing in big cities, but you might lose in Quincy. Like, there's kind of that machine Irish Catholic mentality, and it's just like we all stick together, and that's like, it's even like South Boston. That's that whole mentality too, going back to Whitey Bulger and the Irish, and
Yeah.
we protect our own, and even his myths. Like, he used to tell his own people, we don't sell hard drugs in South Boston. We keep it out of South Boston. Even though he was taking tribute from all the dealers, it was all BS. But people
We sell it
believe
all
that.
up in Somerville.
Yeah, move it
yeah.
elsewhere.
In Dorchester,
Dorchester.
Roxbury. We sell it over there. You just don't come across this line over here, even though it wasn't actually true. But that a lot of those people moved to Quincy, and they moved to Braintree, and they moved to this kind of that clannish thing. I'm Irish Catholic. I feel like I can say this. I know some people get mad at me when I say this stuff, but hey, it's the truth. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Let me ask one of our. I want to ask you another question, but I want to go to one of our commenters, Scooter54. Are you the Scooter that I used to know and who worked at WBCN? I'm just going to ask you. If so, let me know. If not, it's just a coincidence of the name. Mike, I just started podcasting a little more than 2 years ago, March of 2023. And, we got into the Karen Reed case, and I started watching you, and you're so far into this case. How did you pick the Karen Reed case to just latch onto, and really you had a real ability to understand and communicate the details. How did you get so far into it?
It's a long story.
Okay.
I mean, the big thing is, I would say, like, for me, I've done some of these stories in the past, especially on YouTube and even podcasting and even writing in the past. And I recognized early on that this was one of those stories, and this was the biggest one ever. And what I liked about it is that I'm not the lead on it. Turtle Boy is definitely
Turtle
at the
Boy.
center of it, and I
Yeah.
respect that. And I felt like a good wingman. I felt like I could contribute. And for me, like, I had almost given up. Like, I had run into a wall with the cannabis stuff, and it's funny because it's all coming around again. Like, a lot of the stuff I reported back then is now front page news on the cannabis, but I got very frustrated. And it's funny how people call me the money guy now and say I sell out and stuff, because I came up, on the decrim, medical, legal, campaigns. That was where I started. And I was like beloved, and I could have made millions of dollars basically from these cannabis companies. And instead, I saw how evil they were and how the shit that they were doing, and I started exposing it. A lot of the stuff they did to workers, the death of workers, the THC testing fraud, and I basically decided to work for consumers and the workers, because I felt like we got the short end of the stick. The big money took over and screwed everyone. And so there's no money in that. And basically I exposed some stuff, but it went nowhere. And the one champion we had at the CCC, Shannon O'Brien, she got in a scandal. And it was because I feel like she was supporting us. And so for a while, I just kind of like took a break, and I was kind of frustrated. And I was watching Turtle Boy. I was watching his stuff, and I started talking to him privately. And I had been
Okay.
watching him for years, and I didn't
Yeah.
really like him at first because some of the stuff he did. And, we're different political spectrums, and a lot of people were trying to get me to go after him. And I started to recognize that I liked a lot of what he was doing, especially with the dog stuff. Like, there was this canine group that really abused animals. I'm a big animal lover. He exposed them. He brought change. The state police, the Mass State Police scandals, the Troopergate that he exposed. And then when he did Karen Reed, I was just fascinated. And I started talking to him. We started talking privately. And one night I just said, "Hey, Turtle, I haven't done a show in a while, but I think if you came on my show, it would help with maybe the liberals a little bit, and let's do something." And that was it. He was like, "Let's do it." And he did his first like promo on it on his show, and he was like, "I'm going on this Young Jurks. They're like left-wing radical, but I'm gonna have fun,
Scary.
and we're gonna elect a George Soros DA candidate to replace Michael Morrissey. Mike and I are gonna team up. I think it's gonna be cool. Come on the show." And I was like, "I'm in." Like, the campaigns, I've done a lot with campaigns. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I love working together. That's what I liked about the cannabis thing. There was libertarians, there were liberals, there were conservatives, there were Republicans, there were Democrats, there were everyone, Green Party. Everyone was welcome. We just didn't talk about the BS politics. We just worked together on a cause. And that's what I felt like with the Karen Reed thing. It's like, now we can all work on something we all agree on and bring everyone together. And I didn't expect the response to like the first show when he came on. And there were people who canceled me on the left. I got to say, like, people who were long-term friends of mine who were just like, "F you, you're done. I'll never talk to you again." And
That's crazy. That's
friendships were
terrible.
broken. But
That's
it's
too
like,
bad,
are those people really your friends? And a lot of those
Yep.
people to me were performative. A lot of those people are like, they're more about protesting Turtle Boy or protesting the Nazis than actually doing shit. When I was working with the workers trying to do the advocacy, they didn't show up for us. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the fake left to me. So like,
Yeah.
for me, I think I found a mainstream audience now. I got people on the left and right who support me,
Well,
and
good
they
for
like
you.
what I do. I'm a straight shooter,
That's
and I'm
good
not
for
playing
you.
politics. I like the Howie Carr thing. Like, I like what he does on the local. Like a
Yeah.
lot of the talk show hosts are just talking about Trump and Biden and all that stuff 24/7. They don't do the local stuff. Howie Carr gets in there and digs around in the local, and that's the stuff that I love to do. And that's what's great about YouTube. We just can focus on that, and that's it.
He used to do, his hours have changed. He used to be 3 to 7, and that last hour, always 6 to 7, was always local. Now he spreads it out, but that last hour from 6 to 7 was my favorite hour, because that's when he really went in and punched the local people. I admire what you just said about the political thing. On this channel, and I think Laney can vouch for this. You don't have to. I try and stay as far away from politics as I possibly can. I've been an independent my entire life. I have actually worked for some campaigns. But I've been an independent since I was a little kid. I've always been an independent. I reserve the right to, just every single time read, think, analyze, and vote for whoever the hell I feel like voting for. But in this channel, down in the comments, I've actually been accused of being, a Trump MAGA Republican, and I've also been accused of being a Democratic, Biden person.
Operative.
So
Yeah.
if you're a
Sounds
hammer,
familiar.
you look for a nail to hit. So
Sounds familiar. That happens to me a lot.
I don't know what
I've
what
been
I've
called
said.
Antifa Radio. I've been called MAGA Mike now. Like it's just so fun.
MAGA
Every
Mike.
angle. Like you said, I'm independent. Like I've never been a part of a political party except for one time, and it was Evan Felchuk ran a third party called the United Independent Party. That's the only
There
time
you
I've
go.
ever actually signed on to a party. Every other time I've been unenrolled. And my first campaign I ever worked for was a Republican campaign running against Ed Markey, guy named John Cunningham. That's the only real
that goes
campaign
back.
I really worked on.
That goes
And
back.
later on, I had Ed Markey on my show, congressman who ended up becoming a senator.
Right.
That time he was a senator. And we talked about the issue that I was passionate about, which was cannabis. So I felt like we won him over with that Republican campaign. So I feel like a lot of times, sometimes you lose in your campaigns, but you win on the issues that matter. So that's always important.
We need you on the cannabis fight up here in New Hampshire because the very little known secret is that, although I tell people I live in the Boston area and I'm an attorney and I've been a member of the Massachusetts Bar for over 30 years, went to college and law school in Boston. Like a lot of other people, I've migrated. I live just over the border in New Hampshire, and we need that because I don't know why New Hampshire has still, unless something's changed in the last couple of days, New Hampshire still has not legalized weed.
Yeah, they're way behind. They have been
It's,
way behind. It's free diet, what is it called? Live free or die. It's
Live
not
free or
really
die.
done.
Live
Like,
free or
Good for you
die.
die unless you're smoking.
yeah, every other state in New England except for New Hampshire has
Except for
like
New
a real
Hampshire.
functioning legal program.
And the old Governor Sununu, said, no, not over my dead body. We'll never legalize it. Then he said, well, we'll legalize it, but only, there was a carrot and stick approach with the legislature. I'll only
state
allow
or
it to be
something.
legal if certain conditions are met. So the legislature spent an entire year trying to satisfy the guy, and he said no. So now, under our current governor, I don't think it's going to happen. But, it just makes no sense. Liquor is in the New Hampshire state constitution. I don't know if a lot of people know that. The Constitution's supposed to be, the government, civil rights, First Amendment. No, the New Hampshire Constitution has liquor right in it. And so we have the administration that runs those. You drive from Massachusetts into New Hampshire. I don't care whether you're going into Seabrook, Portsmouth, Salem, any of the other border towns. You're going to see liquor stores, huge. They're as big as Walmart. And so they already have the administration, and I've always said, why don't they just, get those guys over in the Liquor Commission that already know how to sell liquor, get them to sell weed? What is so hard about that? But
They would
it
make
just
too
has-
much money. Can't do that.
Too much money.
They would balance the budget in a minute. But so we need you up in New Hampshire if you want to move up here like the rest of us.
Yeah, I've lived in New Hampshire like unofficially. It's funny, one of those places where you move, but you never change your address with your parents back in
Oh,
the
you're
day.
one of those.
I'm one of those. I only did it for like 6 months. I was working at Fidelity and
Okay.
didn't want to commute. We had a place up there, party house basically, but Merrimack, New Hampshire. But I couldn't do it. Like, and I used to live on the border. Like, I grew up on the border, but I've always been Mass. But even that 6 months in New Hampshire, I just couldn't do it. It's just something up there. It's just too much woods up there.
Too much nature.
Every year there's less and less woods.
I
Oh
know,
my
right?
God,
It's getting more Mass people up there. That's why. That's what's
I was on a
happening.
planning board for a few years in one of the town I live in, and the amount of construction and defoliation. They just, they don't care. It's becoming, and I know I'm going to get a lot of comments for this, but it's becoming more like New Jersey. It really is. It's
Tree
just,
hugger. No, the
Suburban.
comments.
I don't know.
Suburban.
But anyhow, yeah, they could use you up in New Hampshire. So I was just interested as to, and you mostly answered the question, why you got so deep into the Karen Reed case. Because you were on top of it. Other than Turtle Boy, you were really
Yeah,
on
and I
top
think
of
the
it
other
whole
thing
time.
too is I felt what they did to Turtle Boy. when they put him in jail too. That was the other moment
Oh
where
God, yes.
I felt threatened, even though now I look back on it, it seems kind of dumb actually, but like I was frightened during that period of time too. I even talked to like a criminal defense attorney. They were threatening me on shit subliminally through their snitch Kate Peters. But it's just like when that all happened, I just recognized, wow, like we can't shut up now. Now we have to be that. That's what the thing. It's funny because I was doing a show like maybe once a week, and then when Turtle Boy went into jail, it was like, you know what? I took a break because I was frightened for like I don't know maybe a month, and then when I came back for the month, it was like now I'm not gonna stop. Like we're not stopping until Karen Reed's free. And
Mhm.
lately, I've felt like I could kind of stop. Like I haven't been doing as much, and I've been kind of chilling until like today. But it's funny. Like that was the issue. Like I felt like once they were pressuring us all, and we felt that pressure. Like all of us did in some way. Like you got threatened. I mean, they put up my parents' 1972 divorce
Oh
paperwork.
my
I've never seen it before.
god.
I didn't even know that was the year. Like I was like, how did they find that? Like how did they get? Like
What
I
did they
didn't
do?
even know what I was looking at. And then when
They
I
took
saw
your
it, I was like,
parents. They took your parents' divorce and made it public. What?
yeah, yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. They
Oh
Diabolical.
my
posted
God.
pictures of my house. They all that
Oh my
crazy
God.
shit that they try to threaten people with.
That's
And
nuts.
and
This is
a lot
totally
of it's
nuts.
the trolls or the McAlberts or their friends. But when you see that they're trying to shut you down like that, it's like you have two choices. You can either stop or you can go. I'm going 10 times harder, and that's one of the
Mhm.
Yeah.
reasons I think I went so hard on this. It was like, I see what you're doing. I see that you're trying to shut us down. I see that you're trying to shame us. And when I found Mark Betterow, I mean that was like the biggest thing ever. Is when
Is he awesome or what? Is he a bright guy or what?
yeah, I mean that was right before I think the first trial, right? I'm trying to remember exactly when he came in, but he had posted something about Wendy Murphy on Twitter, and I saw it immediately, and I recognized. I hit the link. I was always looking for credible people, and I saw him, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is like way legit. And I just said, hey, you want to come on the show and talk about Wendy Murphy? And he's like, I can't talk too much about Karen Reed. I don't know enough about it. And I said, that's fine. We'll just talk about what Wendy said. You called it out. He's like, yeah. By the time he came on the show, he was talking Karen Reed. Like he talked about Wendy, but he was like ready to freaking go. And after that first show ended, I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, "Did you see that?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "That guy." And there weren't that many people watching back then. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and so we had like 5 or 6 shows like that, and every show would get a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. And then finally, like like maybe the fifth or sixth show, we're up to like 50, 60, 70,000 people, after like 24 hours watching it. And then everyone else started booking them. And I was like, oh, now we're on all the big shows. And it's just like, yeah, it was just, and then he kept coming on our show like every night during the trials. So it was
Yeah.
like for us, it was just, that's the thing. If Mark was saying yes to me, I was doing a show. Like that was the other thing too. Cause both, they pissed me off and I had Mark Betterow. So every night that's kind of how my last 2 years went.
Yeah, it was a travesty that our friend Judge Canoni did not allow him to come in to, be on her team for the second trial. It was a real travesty that she disallowed that petition. But it was great for people that wanted to know what was going on because he had that case nailed. He had the facts nailed. He had the law nailed. And the way the man articulates is just incredible. I was lucky. I know I used to watch you, and you would have him on for 2 hours. And Lainey and I were always lucky that we were happy to get him for a half hour. But in that half hour, he said a lot. He really did. So it was too bad that he didn't get on the team. But it was a good thing for the fact that the public was able to, have the advantage of his communication skills and his just real mastery of that case. That was incredible.
People
One of
loved
the
him. That's the big thing too. It's like
Yeah.
he just brings that numbers. Like even
Yeah.
when the trial ended, I think it was like a day after. Nathan Reed calls me. I'd never gotten a phone call. I've met Nathan a few times, had convos
Okay.
with him, but I never
Yeah.
got a phone call. He calls me up and he says, during the trial, we were just like everybody else in the audience, and just like you, like we had to be reassured every night by Betterow, by watching Betterow. Like my father and me, we would come home so depressed, and then we'd turn on, or either on the way home or in the morning coming into court, we'd be watching Betterow.
Wow, that's
I
great.
believe it. Yeah, I
Well, I
mean,
was
he's got
watching
away with
too.
words.
We were watching
Yeah,
too.
weren't we all? Like,
Yeah. Um, So, I'm really happy that you were willing to come on and talk to us. One of the things that I really admired with Turtle Boy was the Massachusetts State Police have been corrupt for a long time, and he unveiled the overtime scandal.
right.
So many Massachusetts State Police were, phoning it in. They weren't showing up for the details that they said that they were showing up for. They were putting in for overtime hours that they did not work. And Turtle Boy is really the guy that exposed all of that. And so people that think he's a one-trick pony and they get down on him, and I've heard some comments about, oh well, he just he's stuck with this Karen Reed thing. No, he's been doing this stuff for a long time. He's been doing it for a long
He
time,
could do whatever he wants.
and the
Yeah.
media in Boston, and I know some people in the media in Boston, so I don't want to paint with a broad brush. There are some really good people in the media in Boston, but by and large, they gave that a good leaving alone. They really didn't want anything to do with it, and
Yeah,
it was
they kind of recycled it too. It's funny because it was called Troopergate, and a
yeah,
lot of them did actually pick it up, but they didn't give them credit. And that's my experience a
no,
lot of times too. Like until there was a woman that died, Lorna McMurray. Basically, I had like not
yeah,
me myself, but the guest on my show had predicted someone was going to die at a dispensary cultivation site from the lack of health
yeah,
concerns, and somebody died. And so that was the
yeah,
first time the Boston Globe and all them actually credited me. They were like, Mike Crawford, Mike Crawford, Mike Crawford. Like, I actually got, like, for the first time, it was like, wow, all these stories that they stole from me. And basically, what they would do is they'd rewrite them. They would go interview the people I had on my show and get new quotes from them and just
Oh,
basically act like I didn't exist. For that, when I did that Lorna McMurray, that was the first time of the death because I was airing the parents every night, and they were clipping they were doing what everyone else was doing. They were watching the interviews on my show. So that was the first time for me. It was like wow. And then with this Karen Reed thing, that's kind of the same thing with Turtle Boy. I feel like because for so long with Troopergate and all these big cases, they wouldn't cover him. They would steal his stories. And if you look at Troopergate, like you said, the Mass State Police, that didn't just go with Mass State Police. That went like national because
yeah.
all of a sudden, once that broke, all the local towns and cities and the feds were saying, "Hey, let's look at your overtime. Let's look at your detail work. Let's make sure no one's doing overtime fraud." And so that went into other departments too. And a lot of cops have gone to jail over it. The feds have
Yes.
busted people. So Turtle Boy gets major props from me for that type of news coverage. I agree 100%. And it's good to see they can't ignore him anymore. That's the thing. They used to ignore him. They don't ignore him. I even get credit and stuff for this stuff now too, which is funny because I'm like I said a secondary guy, but it's times have changed. Like it feels like the media has gotten it. They figured it out, the bigger media too, and they figure out they'll get the views too if they acknowledge us. So
yeah.
they
Well,
want the views too, right? They want them.
Go ahead,
well,
Lainey.
you mentioned. I was gonna say you mentioned before with the parents' divorce papers, where it's also just scary putting your face out there, not even just for people watching, but also just being scared of the police because it's just like you basically are putting a target on your head by talking about these things.
Yeah,
But
I feel like that, but I feel like at a certain level, you have so many people backing you. It doesn't like that's the
hmm
big thing I have. I feel like I'm not worried. The only thing times I get worried is about family stuff. You don't want your
yeah,
family
Yeah,
harass
that's
people
not
you
right.
like.
That's
But
not right. It's
beyond
really
that,
not.
for myself, I'm not really worried about it. I feel like we have such a following. Um,
hmm
yeah, I mean, I get more worried about these bullshit lawsuits. I have one against me right now. I'm raising money for it, and it's cost a lot of money, and it's ridiculous. And it's again trying to shut the truth down. This
Yeah, I
happens a
didn't know
lot.
if you really wanted to talk about that today. You're welcome to talk about it. You don't have to if you don't want to. I don't want to dox you or force you to.
Yeah, no,
But
I mean,
I heard your
yeah,
entire episode that you did last week. I listened to the entire thing, and it's just it's not right. I don't think there's any basis for that lawsuit. But what I was going to say to you, Mike, is that if you want to send me a link to the site where people can contribute,
I
and
will definitely do that.
I would encourage people to do that. If you would send me a link to that, if you have my email, I will put a link down at the very top of the description section because, as you know, these lives get recycled and people watch them. And I'll also put it. We don't do the lives every night and go on for an hour or two. As much as I admire people that can do that, we generally record a couple of episodes that drop over the weekend. So if you send me that link, I will also put that link in the details section of our 2 episodes that we do for this weekend. So. Yeah.
I would definitely
before we
appreciate
go-
I will email that. I would
Before we
definitely
get
email
serious, today is National Dog Day. So you guys
yes.
Lainey, how's your dog? My dog is, I'm going to show you my dog. She's taking a nap. She's taking a nap right there.
Aw.
She's sleeping. She's not dead.
Oh, she's not dead. Oh, we love that.
Lily, say hi. Lily.
Lily, hi,
she's-
girl.
No, she's
That's the best. Just chilling out. Relax as
Lily.
anything.
For National, this is my contribution. He doesn't like being in the room when I stream, but for anybody who
Oh,
hasn't
what a
seen my
cute
little
dog.
boy.
Oh, it's a boy?
Yeah.
What's his name?
His
Lady?
name is Zuko. It's just the name we adopted him with. He's a rescue.
Oh.
He was at a
I
kill
love rescues.
shelter. Yeah.
Good. How old?
Oh, he's 3 now, so he's 6.5 pounds at 3 years old. So he's itty. He's tiny, mostly hair.
Oh, does he have any behavioral issues, or is he all like perfect?
He's better now. He was, he's a rescue from Korea, so he's gone through a lot. He had bad anxiety, but he's doing a lot better now. Before he would just use the bathroom whenever he would see a guy. Like he would be very friendly with girls, but if he saw a guy, he'd just stand up
Pretty good.
straight and pee himself. But he's gotten better now.
Aw.
It only
He
took a
will-
year.
they'll get better and better and better. It's like every year it'll get a little bit better. I have a little Charlie who's also, he was a foster failure. We used to foster dogs, and he couldn't be adopted because he was such a little biter.
Mhm.
And anxiety and get triggered. And then for the first time, like we worked with him and we got him to a certain point where the first time he growled instead of biting, we celebrated. Now he's a little growler. He doesn't bite anymore. He's a little growler. He's changed his
Aw.
behavior, and he's wicked happy and confident. And he's going to the vet on Thursday. We're getting him because we have to sedate him to get his groom.
Oh.
So he's getting groomed, thank God. So
Oh. He's gonna be
yeah.
fresh
Now,
and clean.
Now, my dog Lily is going to be 15 in December, and Lainey and I had a little birthday party for her when she was 14. We gave her presents, and we did it live on YouTube. Well,
Aw.
we recorded it on YouTube.
What kind of present did you get her?
Oh, chew toys. Her favorite
chew.
thing. Chew toys and
Yeah.
some treats, and she got a new duck. I mean, she's a half a hunting dog, so she likes those little toy ducks to chew on.
yeah.
I think it's innate in them. They want to chase a duck and chew on it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And they, no matter what it is, like they might have like 15 toys. Anytime you give them a new one, they get so excited.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the novelty of something new.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and she chews them to pieces, but that's her fun in life. So I buy her new ones and let her chew them to pieces. So anyhow, back to Turtle Boy, Aiden Kearney. What's going to happen with his case? At the last hearing, Bob Cosgrove, the retired Massachusetts Superior Court judge who was hired as special prosecutor, admitted he hadn't been to the office for 2 weeks. And the same thing that's happened in like the Miles King case we talked about, the same thing that happened in the Karen Reed case is happening in the Aiden Kearney case. They're not giving the discovery that everybody knows they have. Everybody knows they have the documents. Some of them, it was surprising. Some of the documents had been produced in public to the media under a Freedom of Information Act request, and some of them had been given to the defense, but they weren't allowed to disclose them. But a lot of documents had not been produced, and of 5,000 pages that Mark Betterow had pointed out in one of his letters, of 5,000 pages that the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office said, oh, we produced it, 4,000 pages were blank.
There you go.
4,000
right?
pages were blank. And then apparently the day before this past hearing, the day before they produced it. So Cosgrove's like, I don't know why this isn't even an issue. I don't know why it's even an issue. It's just like, I'm shaking my head. I'm sure he was a great judge. I can't remember ever being before him. I've been before a lot of judges in Massachusetts, but maybe he should have stayed retired. I don't know. So what do you think is going to happen in the Carney case?
Well, it seems like Attorney Betterow, from what Aiden has posted, is working, or stated on his show, I believe, is working on some type of big motion, and I think it's going to be related to what they were asking for. They want to have a hearing, evidentiary hearing, with Kate Peter, the main snitch, the one who I mentioned, who I felt threatened by back then.
Really?
She's the one who is
Yeah.
at the center of a lot of this stuff that's going on. So she's also the one. There's a video out there of Kate Peter admitting to doing fraud, basically filing a federal, hoaxing federal paperwork to be filed against Aiden Carney to get back at him, and she admits it. So she admits to doing fraud in the past to get at Aiden, and this is one of their main people that they've been working with to get back at Aiden. So they want everything. They want to know everything that she's done. They want all her emails, and especially about these videos that they were talking about how the titles got changed. They want to talk to her. They want her on the stand, and they want the rest of them, Tully on the stand, and the whole crew of them. And Kate Peter, I think putting her on the stand is exactly what needs to happen. We need to find out what's going on with Kate Peter and Turtle Boy, and I think that's what's going to happen next. I think that's September 24th, I think it was, but it's coming up in September.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. I
Yeah,
don't know
so-
offhand.
Well, I mean, it's troubling. The problem for me, again, is what I'm dealing with this stupid case. It drags on, and how much money it costs. There's so much money, and imagine what Turtle Boy's paying, for Bradle and Betterow. It just drags on and on and on, and he's raising money again. If you look at him, he's doing the same thing I am. We're both promoting our GoFundMes. This is the world we're in. Sometimes when you rock the boat, you have to pay lawyers to get out of trouble. And
Well, I'd
he
be
is
happy
the
to put
one
his
who's-
link down. I'd be happy to put his link down below. Also, I know I've reached out to him, and he's actually reached out to me. I have somebody that does a lot of my communication stuff for me behind the scenes, and she told me that his people reached out to me. I just haven't gotten back to them, but I would be happy to put both your link and his link down there, because you're right, it's crazy. It's just nuts. Kate Peter is the one that, how brazen, is it brazen or stupidity that she was trying to claim that there was a lawsuit, and she took another lawsuit and she phonied up the title of the lawsuit and submitted that as evidence. And it's like, anybody with half a brain would be able to figure that out. I mean, why? Is it brazen or stupidity that she did that?
Then she
Big
went on
noise.
another person's show, and the guy's asking her about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I did that to get at him." So that's who you trust, someone who would admit to doing fraud to get at Aiden. She hates him that bad, and she said, it's unbelievable, and that's who they've been using to harass everyone too. It's like her whole, she calls her mass hole mafia, troll mafia,
Something like that, yeah.
That's who they're using, and then they cry about Aiden Carney witness intimidation and the online harassment. It's like, you're using mass troll mafia. Come on. So the whole thing, the whole narrative that Aiden was the one harassing people, I feel like it's totally the opposite. I feel like the other side, because I've been on both sides of it. When I took that break, the Turtle Riders weren't happy with me for a month, and it was nothing. It felt like, when you disappoint your grandma. That's what it felt like. Oh, we're disappointed in you, Mike. Oh well. It wasn't
Yeah,
we're not putting up. Yeah, we're not putting up your 1972 parents' divorce, though.
Yeah.
That's
terrible.
what
I can't-
the mass whole mafia side does. That's
I
the shit
can't
they do.
believe that. My parents got divorced when I was young, and for someone to go back there then, and I'm not going to tell anybody where I lived at that time, but I mean, for somebody to go back and do something like that, I mean, that's just, I can't even imagine.
Why?
That.
That's
why?
too. Why? Why?
It's
Because they have nothing to do with whatever I'm doing.
It's
They're
below. It's
probably-
below the belt. It's totally below the belt. I mean, it's just. So I just kind of wonder what's going to happen with that. He had, Aiden Carney had 6 of the counts were dismissed, but there's still a number of them, and I'm just wondering, if there's going to be an evidentiary hearing, which I think there should be, and they do put people like her on the stand, and Tully and some of the others. I mean, well, it seems like there's a better judge on the case now. I mean, will they actually take a listen and dismiss this case, or I can't imagine it going to trial. I can't. I think the case was just brought obviously to harass him, so I can't see it actually going to trial. But
To drain
praise
his
you
assets too, and I also think, like you said, to harass him, drain his assets, and also keep him somewhat docile in a certain
Yeah.
respect. I mean, it's not like he's a docile guy right now, but he's not full turtle boy right now. Because you know why? I mean, he's at any moment they could throw him back in jail. So I think a lot of it is about control. They want to control Turtle Boy, and like I said from the beginning, why I kept doing shows night after night with Betero. I knew they wanted to shut us up, and I think
Yeah.
that's the big thing with Turtle Boy. They want to silence him as much as possible, and those charges help. So I think they'll drag it along as long as they can. As long
Well,
as
I
these
think
judges
that
let them.
if their goal was to silence him, it's obviously backfired. But if their goal was, and the same thing applies to you, different facts, but if their goal was to drain you guys of money, it's
That works.
unfortunate.
That's
It's
been
That's
working.
right, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. I mean, look what they did to Karen Reed. Oh my God, she had to sell her house. They dragged her through the mud for 3 years. Her whole life was just destroyed, and so
I
it's
I feel like it's more about just scaring people into submission almost, where it's just
Yeah.
like they don't actually
Self.
care what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like self censoring.
Mm-hmm.
Like Turtle Boy even says that now. Like he's not gonna like he's you know it didn't silence him from covering the case, but he's definitely not as hardcore as he used to be in terms of the things he will do. Let's put it that way. But and he shouldn't be. Like if I were him, I would not step foot in Canton. Like that's just an example. Like he's been to Canton a few times and gotten in more trouble. Like to me, I was like, why are you going back? A lot of people said that to him. And
we have a
and
question
that's the
here.
kind of
We have a question here from Brian Jr.'s Frozen Donuts. What do you think Doolin? What do you think Doolin is dragging his A on the unimpounding of those texts? And also, what is taking Beverly so long to unseal the sidebars? What do you think about that?
I don't know about the sidebars. To me, that's very curious. I think
Yeah.
if they don't get unsealed, there's going to be some online Twitter attorneys, some real attorneys who will probably file some suits on it to get them unsealed.
Yeah.
So eventually they have to come out.
I'm
Do
sorry,
I think
I didn't realize that those questions were like in front of your face. I don't know. Laney,
That's
you're
all
a
right.
tech person here. Why do they cover up his face?
It's just because of the layout we have. You actually caught me as I was like thinking.
Awesome.
I'm like trying to see if I can make adjustments to see if I can get it to
fine. It's
appear
fine. I have
better.
the same issues on StreamYard too. It's just the layout. Yeah, and the other thing, what's the other part of it they were asking about?
Doolin, why is he?
Oh, Doolin, why is he dragging his feet?
Why is he dragging his ass on unimpounding of those texts?
I don't know if he really is, because I think that's going to come up. Well, I guess he has. How many weeks has it been? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, a couple of weeks. It's only been a couple
yeah.
of weeks.
Usually, I think a lot of times these guys don't work fast because they have a heavy case law
Yeah.
to load, right?
Yeah, they do.
so-
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, the
and it requires writing up. Like, he's going to have to write up a couple pages. Just like I think for the viewers out there, think about when you have a paper due in high school or college. You do it at the last possible moment, right?
I
The
always
night
did.
before, you're writing it out. That's what judges do. Like they're just looking like, whoa, when do I have to do this? And he's probably saying before the next hearing, right? Like so.
Some do, some don't. I'm trying to think of the example recently where we had a really good. I'm trying to think what case it was. People are going to get mad at me for this one. But when the defense in the Koberger case was filing 20, 21, 22 motions at a time, Judge Hippler he must have had a ton of legal assistants and clerks. He was writing some fairly good, fairly well researched, 40-page motions. But that's Idaho, and I don't think much happens in Idaho. Other than that case, I don't think much happens. In Massachusetts, the courts are very busy. The courts are very, very, very busy. They, the judges have a huge caseload. You can go online and look at their dockets, and, they're hearing 20, 25, 30 cases in one session, and it's... So, yeah, I think you're right. And, I was one of those kids that did wait until the very last minute to write my papers.
Me too. Me too.
Still
Study
am.
all-nighters. I mean, that's the yeah.
No Dose
You
was
do.
my best friend. I don't know if they even make that stuff anymore, but that was my best friend back
You
then.
did. I'm just a coffee guy. I'm just drinking coffee all night.
I can't drink enough coffee; it kills my stomach. I love coffee now. I
Me
drink
too.
the double
This-
shots and the triple shots over at
Ooh.
Starbucks. That'll keep you
Ooh.
up.
Was that a Celsius you have right now, Andrew?
Yeah, right now I have a Celsius. Yeah.
All right, Chad, don't live
it's-
like Andrew. Don't drink Celsius at 6 p.m. That thing's got like 200 milligrams of caffeine. And I'm sure you're going to sleep right through it too, regardless tonight.
I'll be okay. Yeah, I'll be fine. I don't know. So this has been very interesting. Do we have any other viewer comments that are worth? Here we go. People like you. Free the jerk.
Thank you. Oh, that's what I love them and lemonade.
We
They're
had
great.
another one. We had another one up here. They were free young jelly. We had another. Here we go. Here we go. Free Mike Crawford.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
Thank you.
So
Hopefully,
people,
hopefully soon.
you have a lot of supporters. How long have you been podcasting?
Oh, you don't. The Young Jurks have been around for 10 years, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
we've had a lot of stops and starts. Like I said, when I first started, it was internet streaming radio show. Like it was, on a network. We'd have a studio, but there'd be no video. It was just you go on the website, you listen to the show and the next show and whoever, just like almost like old time radio in a way.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. I did that for a while, and then they started putting us on Facebook, and then we had a couple different stations we were at, and then basically COVID hit. And it was like, we can't do a live studio show anymore. Especially, we had kind of branched out to a new station. It was basically just about my show, and we were trying to promote it. We had some sponsors. And so we were just like, no, we're not doing this. We're getting out of the lease. And so we did. And then COVID hit, and it was like, oh, Zoom. Look at Zoom. We can do it at home. And that's really, so it kept me going for a little while. And then, like I said, that's when I found out about the death of the worker. And that kind of kept us going for a little while. And then that kind of had a lull, and I got kind of aggravated. I took a break, and then Karen Reed happened. And so for me, that was just like, wow, this is like on another level I've never seen before. To have this many people following me. There's been certain stories where we'd have a buzz for a little while, but never anything like this. And never anything that lasts for a while. Like I remember Market Basket. We were covering Market Basket at one point. We were doing streaming radio. That was big for us. That was like, besides the Lorna McMurray and the cannabis stuff, that was actually, we started to get some, but then it went away. And it's like, what do you do next? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we'll go back to.
People are passionate about Market Basket, and it seems like it's back. That was back in 2014.
It's back again. Everything gets.
People were
It's
so
funny.
passionate about that. I mean, it was crazy. But now it's back. They fired RDT. How could they do that?
Exactly. And it's funny because for me, I have so many people who have been like, I've been watching all your Karen Reed stuff, and I used to watch you for cannabis, and I stopped watching you, and then I found you again. It's like, it's funny because like I hear from so many people when my own family like was watching it that I had no idea. Like that was like, wow, I got my uncle, like my most successful uncle. He's watching me. He's like, he's telling me about Mazza, and he's talking to me about Betero. I remember I walked into one of my family events, and I've been doing this show for years, and I never talk about it with them, And I walk in, and they're all like I was a rock star. You are
a rock star.
So
People
the
know
last
you
couple
all over.
years has been weird because I've been doing this, and just for the passion of it, and try to help people, help causes, and yeah, the last 2 years has just been. I've never seen anything about it, and I always say like I gotta thank Turtle Boy because he's the one who got me on this. Like both watching it and him coming on the show, that was the big thing. Once Turtle Boy came on my show, I was like, all right, I'm in all the way on this. Let's do it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Eleni can tell you, she's been with me from the start. She helped me start this whole thing. And when we started it, I said, I did my research. People always say, do your research. So I did my research. And there's so many true crime legal podcasts. We're not even going to mention their names, but you know who I'm talking about. There's so many true crimers and attorney true crimers that I said, I'm going to do civil law. I'm going to do civil law. That way, I don't have to compete with them. Well, so we actually, the lady pointed this out earlier this year. We used to even be more creative than we are now. We just sit here and we did stuff like the rail trail was a big issue in the town that I live in. The New Hampshire Highway Department just totally ignored the will of the people and just bulldozed through a new road. We did several episodes about rotaries, roundabouts, whatever you want to call them, and how people don't know how to drive in them. We did episodes on distracted driving. On a good day, Mike, we were lucky to get 500 viewers.
Hey, that's great. I look at that, like back in the day, I'd be so excited with 500 viewers. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like having like 5 people watching you live back in the day, or 10 or 15. Anytime you get over like 10, you get excited. Now it's just crazy. So,
well, Laney can tell you, I would be actually clinically depressed. I would be just like, oh my God, we did all this work. And I had this former Bostio radio guy, Doug Cope, who was my college roommate.
Oh, yeah.
And he worked at WBZ for years. He helped me also. He would, I don't know if you remember, a guy drove an SUV into the Apple store down in Hingham and killed somebody.
Yes, I do.
Doug took pictures because he lived down in that area. He took pictures, and we did an episode on that. And bollards. We did a whole episode on bollards. So we did a lot of work, and I think we might have got 350 viewers for that one.
Yeah, it's wild how some things hit. You just, my thing is just follow what you want to do. Like, whatever your interest is, if you like it, and especially once people start discovering you, they'll. It's funny too, because when I do a new subject or a new topic, I'll notice like we don't get as many views.
Right.
And then the next time I do it, I get a little more and a little
more.
Like people, it's like anything else. People need to. Sometimes it just takes time for them to know who you are and warm up. Well, I hope it's not 10 years. For me, it was like 10 years. It took them like, and I had to tell you, like I said, the Young Jurks was 10 years. There was a show before the Young Jurks.
Oh, what was that?
So that was it was called the Two Hotheads. My first show ever was called Two Hotheads on Cannabis. And it was me, myself. This was the one that Carm booked. She created. Eventually, we turned into Two Hotheads on Activism. But in the very beginning, it was myself co-hosting with an attorney named Stephen Epstein. And he's a real hothead, and he's a criminal defense attorney. And he's almost like a father figure to me, but we used to get in fights. Like, he was like, he did a lot of he was Mass-Can. He basically was the lawyer behind Mass-Can Normal. And so it was he and I fighting every week. It was hilarious. It was a good show. But then he got mad at me, and, we're friends, I think. I hope he's watching. What's up, Steve Epstein?
So, the name sounds familiar.
He was also, when I got busted for weed, he was actually my attorney, too.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was the guy I called. I said, Steve, help me out. I got busted for some weed.
You got to give Andrew your patience, because even we've been doing this about 2 years now, I want to say. And it's just like constantly, Andrew's like the first few months. Why don't we have 1,000 subscribers? It's like there's 200. Imagine being in a room with 200 people. It's like, I want 1,000. It's like, now we got 1,000. I want 5,000. Now we got 5,000. It's like, why do these people have 100,000 subscribers? Because they've been doing it for 10 years.
Well, so we decided to stop doing the civil law stuff because we actually did a lot of creative stuff back then. We would go out in the field and do what they call stand-ups, and we did a thing on the T and how unreliable it was, and even when the federal government was here in Boston, looking at the T, the Orange Line trains were going off the tracks. And so I actually went down there and I interviewed a bunch of people, and I wanted to interview the top guy, I think his name is Eng, at the transportation department, and he wouldn't talk to me. So I went down to Park Square and I stood right in front of his office and said, with all these trains going off the tracks, even with the federal government, in town taking a look, and his office is right up there, and he won't talk to me. And he should, because just today another train went off the tracks out in Malden. And, so we did my point is we did all this creative stuff and we worked really hard at it. And on a good day, we might have gotten 400 viewers. So that's why we switched over to true crime, because you say, do what you're into. Ironically, I've been a true crime reader since the days, and I'll date myself, of Charles Manson and Bernhard Goetz and Ted Bundy. I was in high school when Charles Manson did his thing. So that's how old I am. And that's how long I've been following true crime. So you say follow what you're into. I just thought,
That's it.
maybe all you guys out there do all the, and you do a good job, and a lot of people do a good job with all you guys out there doing true crime. I'll do civil. Yeah, people could care less.
I don't know. It's funny because when you're telling me about those, like especially about the tea, I'm just like, that's stuff I'd want to watch. Like especially chasing the guy around. Like
Well,
if you ever do
Andrew,
anything like that again, let me know. I'll be promoting it. Like I will be
Well,
linking it. I'll be watching it because I feel like sometimes too, like people need like I think with true crime you can kind of get people, and then this is what I try to do too is like I feed them other stuff. Like I'll do the Big Bettero shows, but then I do some other shows too. And that's really what my lawsuit's about. It's like it's not one of the real true crime shows. It's about someone else I tried to help. So
yeah.
I feel like do both. If you still want to do that stuff, because I like it. I think there's a big need for it. I think people just probably didn't discover you on YouTube for it, and YouTube doesn't know how to send the right people to you. Once they figure
Well,
it out, they will.
did you hear the big announcement today? The big announcement. There's always these big announcements, and these guys kind of, are as vague as they can possibly be. But the big announcement is there's a new algorithm. There's a new algorithm, and it
Oh,
has
no way.
nothing to do with how many subscribers you have. It's all about the watch time, and the ideal time is between 7 and 10 minutes. Then there's another guy saying, oh no, people used to say 7 to 10. So there's all these experts out there. There's all these experts out there that seem to know everything there is to know about it, and they contradict each other. So I think your advice is the best. Just do what you're into. Do what you feel like you want to do.
Translates too. I think sometimes you just have to keep at it too. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it's like, for me, anyways. This is just for me. Is like you build your skill. The more you do it, the more experience you get, the more knowledge you have,
Yeah.
the more you can. So you just sometimes it's the journey more than the destination. The destination, you'll get there. You just
Oh.
never know when it's going to happen.
You said you
the
wanted-
same thing now. Like
Thank you.
like
You said
yeah.
you said you wanted to know if I ever do that kind of thing again. I really don't want to talk about an episode that I've been working on, and Lainey knows this, but it's actually going to happen. It's actually going to happen because I have a researcher working on it right now. We're going to do the New England serial killer. We're going to do the New England serial killer, and I'm going to go stand in front of the Massachusetts State Police and say, here's the email I got back from them when I asked them to comment on it. And they said, why don't you ask? It's not our job to investigate. That's the district attorney's. And then I'm going to go stand in front of the district attorney's office who said,
Love it.
it'll be a surprise, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that because, they're just like, it's not really our job. It's not really our job. Anyhow, so
ridiculous.
that's
I love
something we're working on is the New England serial killer. And I don't know, it's something
I like the local stuff. I'm all, if you get something local, let me know. I'm definitely link it up and promote it. Watch
Well,
it.
I thank you for that, but the problem is that our audience is like, although I will
Everywhere.
say,
Yeah,
even
but
though
look
they
at them.
call,
They're watching Kenton. I mean, that's the thing.
Kenton.
You say they're all over the place, but you know how many people from Australia were watching me stream Kenton Select Board meetings? They just need to know what's going on and get into it. And yeah. So.
well, I've been keeping track since the beginning of the Karen Reed case, and as of today, we've now had 80 countries give us comments and questions. 80
There you
countries,
go.
because I started back in the beginning, I think, of. Now I forget when I started doing it. Lainey, do you remember when I started counting the countries? But as of today, we're up to 80 countries have given us comments and questions. So I'm like, that's pretty cool.
It
So
must be this year. It hasn't even been that long for the 80 countries to have popped out. I feel like it's been less than a year from that.
Let me ask you. You've been doing this for like on
Since-
YouTube.
since March of 2023, yeah,
And how many subscribers do you have right now?
28,000.
28. Yeah,
See,
28.
that's amazing to me. I know that some people might consider that slow because some people get there much quicker, but to me, that's still amazing. Like,
It's
you know,
nothing.
when I started, that was like you would never get there in a couple of years. It would be like you'd be lucky there after 10, 15 years, So it's like things have
Thank you for
changed.
telling
It's
him.
Yeah,
There's an
like,
attorney,
and that's
and
a
I'm not
base.
gonna-
I always said once you get to 10 or 20,000, then you're on the right track.
There's an attorney, and I'm not going to mention her name. She's very good. She started after me, and she's already got like 80,000.
Yeah,
So-
but does she do it full time? Does
Yeah.
she do it all the time? Is
Yeah.
she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
and I think you
so
know who I'm talking about. And then there's that guy
time
down in
invested. Yeah,
there's that guy down in Florida who's very, very, very good, but he's got like something like 400,000. And then there's what's his name? I always get his last name wrong. Bruce Williams. That's
I
wrong.
don't
I
even know
know.
that one. I don't even know
Bruce.
that one.
He's got over 1 million. He's got his son tragically passed away just before the holidays last year. But he's got 1.4 million. Why don't I?
You can't be like that.
Thank you for.
You
He
can't.
needs this pep talk.
Yeah, you just can't be like that. I love it, but it's because I sometimes I feel like that too, right? You're like, you look at some of them and you're like, Jesus Christ, how did they have so many? But you know, I don't know. I'd be happy. I'm just happy. Like I said, for me, I was happy when I got my first 10. I was like, I'm at like 60 something on you, and I'm just like, I was happy at 10,000. Like literally, when I first broke 1,000 live listeners on a show, like that was it. I was like, I don't need to do anything else. And then like it went to when some better shows, it was over 10,000 live. You know, so I don't know. For me, it's just as long as I'm enjoying it, and some people are reacting. I get it being number focused, but you're doing fine. You're doing
No, thank you.
fine.
It's just, and Laney will tell you. I when I first started doing this, it's a long story that nobody wants to even hear. I didn't even know you could make money doing this. I had
Right.
no idea.
You couldn't at first. Like,
I
that's the
had
thing.
no
when I started,
idea.
There was no way you could make money. Yeah.
we
It's like
we
trying to
start
break
doing
even.
this. We started doing these, and like I said, we were very creative back then. I've gotten lazy. We were very creative.
Lazy's fine as long as you're doing it. Like that's the thing. You don't have to be. Sometimes that's a problem too. Is you put so much time and energy into something and maybe it doesn't hit, and you're like ah. So like I said, I keep it simple. I don't even have an intro. I don't do any of that shit. Like I am as bare bones as can be, and just keep it simple. That's always like be lazy as long as you're
Yeah.
doing it. You know what I mean? That's the key thing. As long as you're doing it regularly, and I think the other thing too is like. You never know when you're gonna. No matter what you're doing, like you said, if it's something back roads that no one cares about, it might turn into something, you know, or it might give you an idea on something. Like you never know where something's gonna go, and that's the thing on this stuff. You never know when something's gonna blow up. You just don't, and you can't. You almost can't plan it too. Like it's just.
Oh, good
It's
advice. Good
weird.
advice. So anyhow, one day we're sitting around. You know, we put a lot more work into it back then. And one day we're sitting around, and Lainey says, "So when are you going to monetize?" And I said, "What?" She said, "You can monetize your channel." And I said, "What's that?" I had no clue. So she's like, "Yeah, they'll pay you to do this." I'm like, "What? Really? They'll pay to do this? You got to be
Unbelievable.
kidding!" So then I went through. They put you through your paces. They put you through your paces
Oh yes, to do.
to get monetized. But I eventually did. So that's not why I started doing this stuff. I just
Yeah.
it's a long story why I started doing it. But so then we got monetized. But so that's not why I want 1 million subscribers. I just it would be nice to have that many subscribers. Back when you were smart enough to be doing podcasting 10 years ago. No. I was blogging every week because
I blog too. I was a writer too. Yeah, it's funny.
my SEO people, my computer people, my IT people said, Andrew, you don't just have a website, which I've had since the 90s. You don't just have a website. You've got to put new content, new material, or Google will pass you by. So for 10 years, I was blogging every week. My paralegal would write it, or I'd write it. So every week, religiously, I would post a blog. But towards the end of the 20-teens, despite the best SEO advice I was getting, and I had some really good SEO people just weren't reading them anymore. People just don't read anymore, Mike. It's sad. People don't read. So that's when I
Shorter
decided
attentions.
for the SEO, and that's why I started doing it. Just to get the SEO. I switched from blogging to podcasting. That's why I did it. I had no clue about anything to do with YouTube. I knew nothing about it. I had nothing. I didn't know you could monetize. I didn't know how to push the buttons. I didn't. All of this was like strange to me. I thought you would just sit in front of a microphone and talk, and that's what I did. And it was so bad, I never even dropped it.
You know the thing about writing too, I feel like, because I used to write a weekly column for this weekly alternative weekly print
I've done the
publication
same
called
thing. Yeah.
Dig
Yeah.
Boston every week. I did it for like 10 years, but the big issue with that is like it's time consuming for me,
Yes.
especially like
Yes.
to write a column takes, I feel like, a lot more time than just to do a 2 hour show. Just, to have something
Yeah.
quick and easy and just have someone come on and have a guest and ask some questions. It's much easier. That's why I don't really write anymore. I wish I did, but
You're
the
right. It
live
takes a lot of
stream-
time. I wrote a
Yeah,
column. I wrote a column for one of the little local papers that's owned by the Lawrence Eagle Trib, and I outlasted 5 different editors. The editors came and went, and the first editor wanted 300 words. The next editor wanted 500 words. The next editor wanted 1,500 words. Then they went back down to 450 to 500 words. So I outlived 5 different
Everybody.
editors, and in the end, the new editor said, "Oh, I love your work. Oh, I love your work. Oh, I love your work." But she never printed any of it. I kept submitting my weekly article, and
Never got in.
she didn't put it in. So I'm like, okay. But the title of my newspaper article in the newspaper was about the law, because every week I would pick some topic, or people would actually send me questions, and I would answer the questions. But so I contacted the Eagle Tribune Company in that they were no longer interested in my columns, and I said, you don't have a copyright claim on that title. I can use that title. They're like, yeah, we don't care. So there it is. There it is. But yeah, you're right. It's a lot of work writing. It's a lot of work.
It is.
To sit down and concentrate and think and put your thoughts together, and then you got to fact check it. That's why I used a paralegal, because either she would write it and I would fact check it, or I would write it and or she
Yeah,
would
you
fact
definitely
check
need
it.
somebody.
Because you get one little thing wrong, oh my God!
Oh.
people
And
are
even
all
if
over
sometimes
it.
if you just say it the wrong way, like
Right.
you meant something else. And I used to
Right.
have an editor. I had the best editor around, Chris Ferrone. He's a great reporter journalist. He still covers the cannabis beat, but I was very blessed. I had a couple editors there, but he was my long-term editor, and I was always blessed by I'd watch him edit it remotely. Like we'd have the Google Doc, and I'd see him crossing out, and he's turning chicken shit into like the best story ever. Like because I knew I had after a while I just knew what was needed in the story, what I needed to get him. And sometimes I'd wonder, like, is he getting mad because he's rewriting my shit basically and making it so good? He was awesome, Chris Ferrone.
Yeah, well, what's even worse than that? I used to work in the TV business, and what editors can do to your copy in that business, oh my God, because you go out in the field all day, and you interview different people all day, and you come back, and you're given 90 seconds to write it. You're given 90
Exactly.
seconds, and then, they send it back to you, and you got to redo it, or else they just take what you wrote and just mash it up, so it's even worse in that business, but anyhow.
I imagine, and they changed the titles. I heard there's like title writers, especially the big newspapers, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the journalists have less control over their product, and that's the thing about what I liked with Chris is if there was ever an issue, I could say, hey, dude, I want it this way, and he'd be fine with that, So
Well, there
wasn't
is no
like that.
news there is no news
No.
anymore. I mean, the Herald, you would pick up the Herald, and there was, because I was a strap rider. I rode the Red Line and the Orange Line and all of them into Boston when I was in college and law school. But the Herald, you would pick it up, and they had writers, and they had, they would
totally.
have reports from all over the world. And then I actually knew some editors that got fired, and reporters got fired, and now it's owned by a company that I love, Howie, and he's a great columnist. I've been reading him for 30 years. I hate to admit that. But there's really no news in there anymore. They pick like 5 or 6 major stories, and that's it. But they don't have the volume and the depth and the breadth of news that they used to have in the old days. And it's just
Yeah,
it's
or
just
the
not there anymore.
advertisers or the readers, especially unless it's online. So
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah. There's
mean,
no
I-
advertising anymore. The car guys. The Miracle Mile, the Auto Mile out in Norwood. They supported the paper. Now, they're barely there anymore.
Well, now
Nothing's there.
everybody's getting their news through TikTok. It's actually kind of scary with everything that's popping out, because before, I feel like, not that it's always going to be trustworthy, but when something was in print, it had more weight to it. It's you almost like being held more accountable. But now everybody's just scrolling through TikTok. They watch a 15-second video, don't realize it was generated by AI, and then they're going off and continuing on and furthering that idea. So it's kind of getting out of control, and nobody has the attention to even read anymore, it feels.
Well, that's why
There's
people stop
big
reading
problem.
blogs. People
Yeah.
started reading blogs were the big thing. 2010 and that whole decade.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the big thing. Everybody had a blog, but now
I
I
had
don't know
one.
anybody that has a blog anymore.
Yeah, I had a blog. Now I have a Substack that I really have a post on, but I had a blog for MikeCan.net. That was my. It was pretty well known for a while, especially the cannabis space. But it's funny. You're right. Everyone had a blog back then.
My brother, here we go. My brother knew Charles Laquadera because he used to be in the Dream, and they would play their music. All right. Okay. Back to that subject.
Yeah. Everyone's got a Charles story. Remember he got fired, but he
Yes.
didn't get fired. His alias got fired. Dwayne Glasscock.
Dwayne Glasscock.
So
Do you remember
he-
Dwayne
and
from
for people that didn't know, Charles would be the #1 radio DJ in Boston Monday through Friday, and then I think on like Saturdays he would do this alter ego show, Dwayne Glasscock,
Yeah.
that was out of control, out of
Yeah.
freaking control. And so basically the station had to they fired Dwayne Glasscock, but they didn't fire Charles.
Yeah. But he was always there. He always seemed to be in the shadows somewhere. And the hippy dippy weatherman. Remember the hippy dippy weatherman?
Yes.
And
Yep.
and then who was the guy? Oh gosh, he came in and he would be on the beach or someplace like that, and he'd read the horoscope. Oh God.
Oh, is that Daryl Martini? The Cosmic
Daryl
Muffin?
Martini? Yeah, Daryl Martini.
Oh, yeah, that was classic. Oh my
He was
God.
all those
When
people.
people remember what was that show? KRP in Cincinnati.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
There was
What
a
great
little of
show.
that. There was a little
Yeah.
BCN in that, I think, because like Daryl Martini was one of those things. There was Tank on Sports too. That was another one.
Tank
that
on
was,
Sports and Scooter.
yeah, and Danny Schechter. Who,
Danny Schechter, the news dissector. He went on to
Yes.
one of the networks briefly.
Yeah, he's huge. And some of these people did big things. There was the guy from the Simpson. I can't even say it. What's the cartoon there?
Yeah, The
Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Yeah, thank you. I'm having trouble saying that.
Yeah, that was a great station, and it's sad. I don't think there'll ever be anything like that again. I don't think there'll ever be
Ever
anything
again.
like that because radio is all going to the corporations. I think there's only like 2 corporations that own all the 90% of the radio stations now.
Yeah, they all
And
sound
it's-
the same. There's nothing
it-
local. And I mean, the big thing about BCN too that I loved, and how I had the biggest experience with them, is that anytime you had a nonprofit, a charity, or even like a protest or a good cause,
Yeah,
you could call them and they give you airtime,
yeah,
and they would promote you. They would do ads like for like I said, the Mass Can Freedom Rally, the Hemp Fest. They would give us free advertising every year. They would basically.
Aw,
I'd give them a lineup of bands. 2 weeks later, we'd have an ad for free.
that's awesome.
I mean, they would do that for everybody. Whether you're, especially like feeding the homeless, and you listen to them every week, and they'd have all these charity spots that they would run for free for locals, for local. And if you were in the local music scene, if you were trying to do
Yeah.
some big show,
great.
that was
music.
the place. Yeah, you
Great
get your
music.
music on there, and next thing you know, you might have a deal. Like because that music, if it got played on BCN,
Yeah.
a lot of the other stations around the nation would start picking up on it and start playing it because that was the credibility there. They would
The
break
Cars, Blondie,
Police,
Police. Yeah, a lot of
U2. They
yeah,
broke
a
a
lot of
lot of those bands. Yeah.
They did break a lot of bands. They really did. Now, you're from the North Shore, so you probably remember WCGY, the Rock Garden.
I
No?
do as a kid. Yeah, a little. Yeah,
So-
that was.
So,
I don't
like,
know as much about it though.
I worked there way back, and they were one of the first ones to have one of these blue monsters. It was a computer. It was a great big huge computer, even way back then when I worked there. And I was the news guy. I was the Les Nesbitt guy. You were the cool, Johnny. You were the cool,
That is
music
funny.
guy.
I may have listened to you.
I was the,
They used to go as CGY, right? Like was their logo.
the Rock Garden. It stood for Kurt
That's right.
Gowdy, who owned the station. And
that's
I met him. He was a really nice guy. He really
Holy
was a nice
shit!
guy.
It's
was a real-
like bringing back memories
Yeah.
from when I was a kid. Like that was a long time ago.
But what
How
I was
long ago
gonna
was
s-
that?
Do I really have to say?
Nah.
70s.
It was the 80s,
late
70s, and 80s. I was gonna
Late
say late
70s. I
early
worked
80s.
there.
Yeah.
I worked there in the late 70s.
Wow.
They had this great big huge computer. It was the size of this basement I'm sitting in, and I was the Les Nesman news guy, and I had to produce these news carts. I don't know if you remember carts.
Ah, the carts. My girl
Yeah.
talks about those. She was around
And
for the
so
carts.
I had to do like a 2 minute news drop in, a 1 minute news drop in, a 3 minute news drop in, and put in these great big carousels that also had
yeah.
the carts with the spots in them. So I had to do them on schedule, and I just really had to get them in there on time. But the whole thing was just computerized. The music was played like in an old AM radio format, but it was all by computer. There wasn't a human being. And the jocks had to do the same thing. They had jocks, but the jocks pre-recorded everything. And now we're going to hear this, and now we're going to hear that, and this guy did this. This was his original. They would give very brief little, but it was all slick formatted.
Programmed.
But now they've all gone to a similar. There's no more cards.
A lot of them
Everything's-
are like that now. Yeah,
It's
most
all
of them are
digital
like
now,
that.
but
yeah,
this was
almost
the-
all of them. It's funny because when AF and BCN closed, I think they were taking out the carts. I think they still had the carts in there actually. Like, can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
it's
all
funny
digital
how
now.
things have changed. It's just totally different.
I still have a great big reel-to-reel recorder. I still have a great big reel-to-reel recorder and my editing block. We would actually splice tape.
Yeah.
I tell people we used to actually splice tape, and they laugh at me. But
Yeah.
anyhow, we're going down memory lane.
Going
here.
down the rabbit hole. I love it.
We're
talking
going down the
Boston
rabbit
history.
hole. But those were great stations. WAAF. I used to listen to them all the time. Stephanie Shelton.
Oh yeah.
She
yeah.
did the news. See, I was the
You
news
did the
guy.
news. Yeah, you're
I
the
was-
news guy. Do you let me? Who's the other one that we have? Oh man, you said BZ. Karen,
WBZ.
not Karen. Oh my God, I forgot her name.
I went to
we got a friend of I think it's a family member actually, my girlfriend who used to be the news lady at WBZ recently. She was really good. I'm forgetting her name.
Well,
Whatever.
my college roommate at Emerson was Doug Cope. And Doug worked at a bunch of different places. He also was in Springfield for a short period of time. Then he came back to Boston, and he worked at the old WHDH radio, which was up in the same building as Channel 7 outside of Government Center. And then he went to WBZ, and he was at WBZ for a number of years. And
Great
he had helped me with
Another
the podcast.
great station.
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
helped me with
I
the
love
podcast
BZ.
earlier on.
I
It
love
was
the
a good
shows that they
station,
do.
but they-
yeah.
It was a good
Yeah.
station, but they just now it's all conglomerated. I don't understand.
I
And
know.
he tried to explain it to me. I'm listening to Howie on RKO, and all of a sudden you have the news on WBZ, and I didn't change the station, so they're all kind of conglomerated into one.
Yeah,
now.
they are. Yeah, they
It's
are.
all, and it's sad. It's just But anyhow.
Well,
Anyhow.
This is a really good point as to just your experience as to you being in the media before, because that was one of the things that was really good when Andrew first started, is that we, with our older videos, how he was just being the boots on the ground, man on the ground. It was a shame that our videos weren't performing, because you did a really good job being out there and being a reporter and kind of being the reporter that we don't feel like we have anymore. So while it's nice to see that everybody is here enjoying these videos where we just sit down and are able to have casual conversations, Andrew is passionate about the news reporting.
I've just
I want
followed
to see
it.
more of that. I want to
Yeah.
see
Follow
you
it.
out there. I'm dying to see it. Like I'm gonna be promoting it. You just let me know if you're chasing someone down. I did that with a dispensary guy one day with Grant Smith Ellis actually watching. Like that was funny as hell. I chased the guy down. He ran away. I love that shit. I love it. Turtle Boy was doing that a lot too. He got in trouble for it. But if you do any of that, Andrew, you got to let us know, especially the local stuff. We love.
Oh, you know who else I went to school with? I don't know if you listen to Late Night WBZ. Steve
Yeah,
Lavelli.
That's
Steve
oh my
Lavelli.
God, Steve. Yeah, that's
You know
gonna say
Steve?
like that's what I love about WBZ. Like Laval,
Yeah.
like those late night shows where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna talk about the silent movies of the '50s, and like just like and whatever they're doing, it's just like entertaining. It's like we're gonna talk about Larry Glick and talk.
Oh, do you remember
radio.
Larry? Oh,
Well,
he
no,
was great.
I don't. I don't
Oh, I do.
remember him, but I hear him. These guys talk about it on BZ. You know what I mean? Like that old time radio thing. I just love that. Bradley J too. He's
Oh, yeah.
going to be filling in for Dan Ray, and I think last night he had some of the guy from Buffalo Tom on who wrote a book about the cars. So that like they still have some good content there. I listen to BZ. I like those. I don't like. It's funny because I do listen sometimes during the day if I want to know if it's going to rain or whatever, and I'm in the car for
Right.
5 minutes and I know that it's coming up. But for the most part, I just listen to BZ like those weekend shows or those late night shows if I'm ever out, like you said. Like I like those shows. Those are the best, and they talk about restaurant talk.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I never met Dan Ray, but of all the people that are on the radio or who have come and gone from WBZ Channel 4, Dan just always seemed to be the guy that had a lot of integrity and knowledge. And I know he went to law school and decided not to practice and to be a TV and then now radio person. He sounds like a real bright guy with a lot of integrity, and he goes into a lot of depth on his show. I like listening to the guy because he goes into a lot of depth. And like you say, they'll talk about anything. They'll talk about anything, but it's just like the guy is a really interesting guy, and I think that he got tired of, when TV reporters are sent out on the field, like I said before, we can spend all day doing something, but we've got to compress it into 90 seconds, and I think he got tired of that. He got tired of compressing his whole day into 90 seconds, and so now he has a format where he can talk a lot more. Anyhow.
I've met Dan. I was on his show one night and doing the cannabis beat, and he was cool to me because it's funny because I was only supposed to be on one segment. It went good, and he's like, "You want to stay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, so he's a good guy. He's a former athlete, a former baseball player. I found out.
I didn't know that. Did not know that.
His brother too was in the state police. So I always questioned whether he's got a little too much allegiance, on the Karen Reed stuff. I don't know. I've heard from some of his family members when I mentioned that, and they're saying, no way, Dan Ray and his brother are straight shooters. So, I mean, I like Dan Ray. I think he's a good guy.
Well, you know why they do that, and I don't know him. I don't know his circumstances, so this comment is not about him. But having worked on the assignment desk and having worked as a street reporter and having worked in both TV and radio before I had a moment of a lapse in judgment, I went to law school. I did all that stuff. And you need to have sources. You need to have contacts. You need to know people in order to get the news. And so, one of the beats, I worked at a radio station one time where I had to do the drive time prep. And so I was up at 5 o'clock going to the local police stations and the local fire stations before there was an internet, and they would let me look at the overnight log to see if anything had happened. And after you do that a while, you get to be friendly with them, and they get to be friendly with you because you're paying your dues. And then you meet the higher ups, and then sometimes, they'll call you with a story because they like you. And so because people in that news side of things, us Les Nesbitt types, need to have our sources, you're not going to bite them. So if you develop and hone sources in a police department, they're going to give you information before they give it to anyone else. So that makes you better than all those other guys. So if you're working at a TV station or a radio station or a newspaper, you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. And that's why the people, and I'm not going to dox any individual people in the media, but it is absolutely true and undeniable that the media wanted to believe the law enforcement line in the Karen Reed case. I've said, this is nothing I haven't said before, but they're not going to go contrary to it. And when a turtle boy comes along and questions them, they're going to attack him. They're going to attack him because, this is our beat. Get out of here. This is our
Exactly.
beat. We
This
have
is
the
our
contacts.
beat, yeah.
We have the sources. We know everything. Just listen to us. And that's what it is. That's why you read what you read. And that's why, the internet is so important, not only in Greater Boston, but everywhere. Everywhere. I just reconnected with an old friend, and I'm not going to dox him. He said he'd watch tonight, and if he's watching, we'll put you on. But an old friend who went very high in this business to the networks, and he said that the news shows are just teetering on the brink of just falling over. The networks are
it's already happening. Look what
nobody's
happened
watching
with
them
Colbert.
anymore. Nobody's watching their news shows
There's
anymore.
too much competition. I
They're
mean,
just-
they shot themselves with 500 stations, and then they went streaming, and then
Yeah.
all these YouTube shows that they're competing against, and TikTok and video games. They compete with everything now. So
And they're hanging on to a thread because their ratings are lower than the toilet. Nobody's watching them, but it's the standard that they've always done, the 6 o'clock and the 11 o'clock news. That's what we do. And so And if my network friend is out there, let us know. We'll put you on so you can confirm what I just said. But in a way it's sad, but in a way it's not sad that there's been a diversification of the media. So
It's going to be interesting in the next 10, 20 years. That's for sure.
it is.
When
It is going to
Oh,
be
I can't
interesting.
imagine. Yeah.
news checks, because I mean, let's be serious. A lot of us YouTubers still rely on traditional media sources too for a lot of the reporting. I mean, obviously, we were covering Karen Reed. A lot of it came from people like Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, but at the same time, occasionally we're still getting info from NBC and Ted Daniel from Boston 25. And I agree. I think a lot of it's going to be going out of business. It's just the way the nature of it. I just hope a lot of them are smart enough to do what a lot of us have done and get their own YouTube shows and their own Substacks, and you just continue on. You don't have to have credentials behind you anymore. It's about who you are and what you're doing and your reporting.
Well, isn't it interesting that I like Ted Daniel. He's done a great job. He's really been on top
Phenomenal.
of a lot. Yeah. But isn't it interesting that the Boston 25s and the NBC 10s are now on YouTube? They're on YouTube because they realize that people aren't watching the 6 o'clock news or the 5 o'clock news anymore. So they're streaming it now, and so you can watch. In fact, in that I had trouble earlier when you came on. In that I had trouble downloading the hearing today on Proctor. I actually tuned in an NBC 10 Boston story on Proctor, which I was going to play, but I don't think anybody wants to see it now. But yeah, you're right. A lot of us do rely on those people, although a lot of it is the fact that the courts are now live streaming.
Yes and
So-
no. I mean, that's the thing. It's the courts are so backwards. They're letting us live stream, but no one has access except the big corporations
Right.
because it's so encumbersome. I mean, the simplest thing the courts would do is just put it up on a YouTube channel and say anyone who wants to stream it can stream it from here, or a link. Or they don't do that. They're basically relying on NBC Boston usually, or
Yeah.
Boston 25 to come in, bring their camera person, stream it, and then everyone streams it from them. So again, even that stuff might go away. Imagine if Boston 25 and NBC hadn't sent someone out to basically set up the stream for the Karen Reed. None of us would have been streaming it because we're stealing it from them basically. Because the courts don't set it up that way. So,
Well, they really should. They really should.
I know
really,
they should.
you know.
That's what frustrates me. It's like why every court that allows streaming should just have it on their website. I don't get
Yeah.
why they don't. Why we have to go to NBC Boston to stream from there, or Court TV, or what's the other one? Law and Order,
Law and Order, Law and
Yeah.
Crime,
Live and Crime.
Law and Crime. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the big networks that have the capability. They basically use a satellite system, as far as I can tell, on the way. So
Oh yeah, they
this-
have to.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like
so,
they're still using the old school stuff that's probably very expensive that the average person can't plug into, basically, that's, on YouTube, where it'd be so simple if they just did it themselves, the courts,
Well, Mike, the reason that they don't do it is because they have an animosity to the press.
Yeah.
Way back when I was in the press business, and now you know how long it's been. But way back then, there were First Amendment, Sixth Amendment committees, and I was on one briefly, where we reporters would talk to the judges, and they were just so anti allowing people into these courtrooms, and they just had all kinds of reasons, but they just were very much against the whole thing. So even in the federal courts now, the federal courts do not allow
No, they
TV.
don't.
They don't allow.
I heard
You'll
I heard
never-
they're starting some limited pilots for civil federal cases, but they don't allow it. And the earlier, just maybe about a month ago, I got threatened for streaming a Zoom court.
Oh, I
hearing.
remember that. What happened with that? I remember that.
Nothing. I mean, I knew nothing was going to happen. And so
That's
that was
ridiculous.
another example of the antis.
Yeah.
The awful Karen Reed trolls, Kate Peter and Grant Smith Ellis. They both reported me to the court and said I was going to get arrested. I was going to have a criminal summons against me because I dared try to stream a hearing of Lindsay Catani. And the judge shut it down. The judge kind of gave me a warning or whatever. I didn't hit the button quick enough, and she just basically shut the Zoom down. We didn't get to stream it that day, which I thought was ridiculous. I thought the judge made a rash decision, because she was pressured by Kate Peters, you know? So, I mean,
Well, they just
that's what
don't.
these people do.
They
That's what they do.
don't want publicity. They don't
Nope.
want the cameras in there. They don't want, in the old days they said, "Oh well, we don't want all these." There's an old case that goes way back to the 1960s, where the cameras back there were the size of a Volkswagen. And Lainey and I talked about this a long time ago. The TV cameras back then were huge, and so
They
back
were.
then the objection was, well, we don't want these great
They're too
big,
big.
Volkswagens and the cables, that they're all over the place. Well, the technology is this now, and so now they've switched it. Well, it's a distraction. We don't want you showing the jury. Well, that's easy. We just won't show the jury. We'll point the camera in a different direction. And then they shift it to, well, it's still a distraction. We don't want you covering all this. And besides, when we're having our sidebars, we don't want. So that they just throw up all these issues that we can deal with. They're easy to deal with, but they just don't want it. So
They don't want
You
it.
know,
They don't
it's a
want the
fight.
public to see it. That's the real point of it. And
It's-
then they'll say, I heard another one they say is they don't want the defense to play to the cameras. They don't want
Right.
the court participants to play to the cameras. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, as an attorney who's tried a bunch of cases, not so much, I'll admit it, not so much now in my later years of my practice, but when I first started and worked for a Boston law firm and then started my own practice, I tried a lot of cases, and you're going nuts making sure that you have your points straight, you're asking the witnesses the right question. Your focus is on your case and presenting it to either the judge in a bench trial or a jury in the jury trial. That's where your mind is, and
You're not looking at the camera. You're not looking at the camera.
I don't know.
Yeah.
People accused, Johnny Cochran of that back in the OJ days, but I don't know. I think he's just a charismatic guy. People accused Alan Jackson of that in the Karen Reed trial, but I think he's just a charismatic guy.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
the kind
think
of
he
a
would
guy.
have changed at all. Yeah, you're right. He would
I've
have done
never
it
met
the
him
same.
as you have, but
Yeah.
he seems to me like the kind of a guy when he walks in the restaurant, you notice him. That's the
Yeah,
kind
you
of,
do.
and I mean
You
that in a
do.
positive way.
No, you do. He's a very memorable guy. Like he just, and I feel like he would have been exactly the same whether the camera wasn't there or not, because like you said, he's playing to that jury, and
Yeah.
we know now that that jury loved him. Everything we've heard from the jury, they were like Jackson. They liked Jackson. They liked the defense. They didn't like Hank Brennan.
And in a
So,
lower key kind of a way, Yannetti is very focused. He doesn't have the, I might eat these words. He doesn't have that, out there charisma that Jackson has, but he's very focused.
He
And he's
is.
thinking about his case. He's thinking about what the next point is that he's going to make, and you can tell that he's just so focused on his. He's a guy like that's not going to be playing to the camera. That's not his thing.
No, I think
Brennan,
if anyone was, that's what I would say. If anyone was playing to the cameras, it would be Hank Brennan. That's he with the banging on the,
Diva.
Don't get me started on Hank Brennan, please. Please don't get me started on Hank.
That's
I
like
know
our
Hank.
favorite.
bad
I know,
acting.
I know Hank. He's a friend of a friend.
He is. Oh boy.
I met him. I sat in the same room and chatted with the guy. He's a friend of a friend. I went to visit a friend of mine. I can't get into the details because of confidentiality, but I went to visit a friend of mine over in Andover, and there's Hank sitting in the room. How you
Was this
doing?
before the trial or after? Or
This was way before the trial. This
Way
was
before,
right
okay.
after the Whitey trial. And we
Ah.
got to be somewhat, I'm not going to say we're friends, but we were
Yeah.
very good acquaintances to the point where if I'm working on a case and I had some questions, I do largely civil now. In my earlier days, I did do a fair amount of criminal, but now I do mostly all civil. So if I had a criminal case, I wouldn't hesitate to call Hank, and he would pick up the phone and we'd talk. We talked. And so the day that he got, I wake up one day, the first thing I do as I'm making my first cup of coffee is turn on the news, and I heard that Hank Brennan has been appointed special. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I DM'd him. He's like, yeah, Andy, I can't really talk about this because of the regulations, but when it's all over, we'll talk, okay? I'm like, okay, that's fine. So when it's all over, I DM'd him back. I said, Frank, I said, Hank, let's do an interview. No, Andy, I really would prefer not to. And so I persisted, and I asked him again, and I knew it was him when the phone didn't ring. So
tell you why you didn't want to?
no, I think you and I both know, but no. And I know that others. You know the Defense Diaries, right?
Yes.
They're great. I met them.
Yeah.
There was a true crime podcasters convention this summer. They're in the North Shore, and they were there, and I spoke briefly to them, and they're trying to get him too. So when I met them, I said maybe I could beat them to him, and I emailed him again, and
Nice.
so didn't want to talk to me anymore.
No longer your buddy.
I never said we were buddies. I said we were acquaintances. He's the kind of guy
but-
I could call him. He'd pick up the phone. We could chat, but I guess not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
See what I'm saying?
Well, you said yourself
lost some
you've lost
people.
friends.
Oh,
you know.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really call them friends though. It's funny because I think I really have found out who my friends were over the last couple of years. It's funny.
Yeah. I just had to comment about this comment from Thomas T. Hank was a defense attorney wearing a prosecutor hat. That's not good. That's kind of true, but not entirely true because Hank started out as an assistant district attorney, I think, in Essex County, actually. If not Essex County, Suffolk County, one or the other. But he started out as a prosecutor. Then he became a successful defense attorney. That's why the district attorney reached out to him, because he did have experience as a prosecutor. But anyhow, enough about Mr. Brennan. So, all right. I see our friend Evil CJ is in the comments. Hi, Evil. It's good to see you. Good to see you, Evil. You're back here somewhere. I know that.
I got a question for everybody
Yeah.
in the chat as well as you all, because we watched this Proctor, this hearing today. Is it going to continue to tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes, tomorrow morning. 9
Well, that's
a.m.?
what I heard. Now, unless they changed something, I didn't see the end of it because I had to leave the office and come home. But according to what I see, it was scheduled for tomorrow, and then they've set aside October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Did those dates again? I'm going to write them down.
October 21st for sure, but they've
21st.
reserved in case they need it the 22nd and 23rd. But I heard the administrative hearing officer this morning say October 21st.
All right.
Until
So-
October is way too long.
Yeah, that is a long time. But tomorrow they're going to be starting back up for a day.
Yes,
All right.
because Daniel Moynihan, Proctor's attorney, was saying they still didn't get discovery from. Does this sound like a familiar story? They didn't get discovery from the Commonwealth.
This is what I love. This is
what
like
they're-
karma. This is karma, like to Proctor.
I was wrong.
He's having
Go ahead.
the state play his videos of his interviews, just like Karen Reed did. He's got the state now, withholding discovery, just like they did to Karen. So like everything that he did to Karen is happening to him now.
Yeah,
It's like-
Moynihan was complaining this morning that the state police didn't give him all the discovery that he needs to prove what one of his arguments is that the state police went overboard in the firing of Proctor, and that others had done the same thing and gotten less severe sanctions, and he
Wang.
needs
Maybe
that
true.
discovery to prove it. So.
Which is probably true. This is the part where this is the possibility that he could get his job back, because that is kind of compelling argument. If you unfair, unequal treatment, I think it just paints the picture that they never discipline anybody for anything at the Mass State Police until Proctor, until they had to do something, right? So.
And the other argument that he has is that they bent over to political pressure, and then they quoted our fine Governor Healy, and they quoted some other people that said, "Yeah, he's got to go." In the heat of the moment after Proctor read those texts in the first trial, there was some political backlash. Not much. The governor really didn't say anything. She gave one brief statement in a press conference over something else, but that's his argument. I'm not buying it, but
I'm not
I don't
buying
know.
either. And the governor was forced to do it. She didn't even want to do it.
No.
She actually received political pressure from the taxpayers. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
come on. I mean, the whole thing, that's kind of BS of the political stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a possibility. That's a scary thing.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that I doubt that this hearings officer will reinstate him. But the scary thing is that there's an appeal from the Civil Service Commission. There's an appeal to the Superior Court. So this may not be the last episode.
Oh,
We may
don't
have
say
more.
that.
I just said it.
It's like, well, other people didn't get in as much trouble as I did, even though they also did horrible things. It's just like a terrible, terrible, terrible.
I think I heard somebody else saying this, so it's not an original thought with me, but, why is Proctor doing this? Because he has no other choice. Who
That's
else
what I
is going to
said
hire
today.
the guy?
Yeah, that's what I said. Imagine what your options must be. Because if you had any types of employment options right now, you would not be putting yourself on television for the whole
No.
world to
Yeah.
see, repeating what you said. Because they play that over and over. It's just like another reminder of what you did. He's got no options. He's got no other choice. This is
And with,
this is all he has. If he
And
doesn't
with-
get this job back, he'll never get hired for a real job again.
No, I mean with the internet and this, we have an attorney friend that was online earlier. I think she went away. Yoli, she's in California, and people are following this all over the place.
Totally.
So it's not like he can get a job in Oshkosh or someplace like that because they all know about it. I mean, I don't think he could even get hired as a mall cop. I mean, what mall?
Oh,
would
someone
want
just
him?
said he couldn't work at a diner. I mean, he couldn't because eventually he's going to be serving someone that's going to be like, "You're Michael Proctor," like it's just-
Yeah.
Didn't somebody make a comment in here about being a personal trainer? I mean, I don't know.
A personal train. Like my thought is like you said, like, can he work at a diner? Is like my thoughts is he can't even be a manager at McDonald's with the way that he's talking about people. There's no job that would allow conversations like happening like that. As far as a personal trainer, the only people that are gonna work with him are people who think that he was right, and those are in the minority.
like, any public-facing job is going to be difficult for him.
Yeah.
Any job. I mean, he could. I had an office in North Andover for 27 years. I was in North Andover for 27 years. I love that town. I miss that town. But briefly, I had an investigator who was a former Lawrence cop who had run into trouble and been thrown off the force.
Wait, what's his name?
I can't even remember.
We need to talk.
But he was an investigator. He was a Lawrence cop, and he was thrown off the force. And he did investigations. He actually did some investigations for me. As an attorney, you don't want to go out in the
Did
field.
he end up going to Catholic Memorial? There's a Catholic Memorial guy who, or not Catholic? Is it not Catholic Memorial?
Central Catholic? Central
Yeah.
Catholic?
Is he the director over the Central Catholic?
No. I don't think he had anything to do with the Central. I don't
There's
know.
there's a cop that got in trouble at Lawrence that I've been hearing some stuff about, and he's now the director of safety at Central Catholic High School.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. No, this guy...
Not that guy? No.
No, this was a different guy. He had an office in downtown Lawrence for a while. But my point was, for a while after being thrown off the Lawrence police force, he was an investigator, and I don't know what happened to him, but he did a fairly decent job as an attorney. You get a case and you can't go out in the field and be interviewing witnesses because now you got a conflict of interest and you can't try the case. But that's what he did. He would take photographs, he would talk to witnesses, he'd write a whole report. That saved me an awful lot of time, and he did it for a reasonable price. So that's what Proctor could do, maybe, possibly.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a job. There you go.
I
You
don't
could do
know.
something.
he
That's
could
a
get
good idea. Private detective. Do you need to
Yeah.
get certified for that? That's probably the
You
issue.
do
with
need a
that.
license to do that. You
Oh, that's too
absolutely need
bad.
a
He's
license
not
to.
going to be able to get. Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. You could sweep floors at Market Basket. No, they probably wouldn't even want him.
He could get a YouTube show going.
Oh God! Please, we
No,
don't need any more
stop.
competition. We don't need any more competition. There's enough already.
I'm trying to think. I could probably set some money aside for like that Michael Proctor interview if he gets really hard up.
Please. Oh please.
$20.
Well,
How much do you
I don't-
think it would cost? Be like, Mike, I want to give you $5,000.
No, don't start
my
off with
show.
5K. Start with like,
That too
50
high?
bucks, 100.
50 bucks.
Give it like a year or two. Let him.
A 500. I'll
Oh,
give
yeah.
you 500, Mike. I'll give you
No.
500 bucks.
Maybe he'll do it for some extra publicity. Maybe he'll do it
That
for
would
some
break
YouTube
the internet, though.
subscribers.
If he came on like the Young Jerks or Turtle Boy or here with with attorney Myers. That would be something. Oh, how about we get him with Betterow?
All right,
would
that
never
equals
do
on the
that. Would you do
5K.
that?
He'd never do it. He'd never do it.
Because
How much do you think we probably fundraise some money? I bet people would give us money to do that.
I think you could fundraise for better people like yourself and for Turtle Boy. I mean, oh my God, who would give a penny to that guy? You know, who would give him a penny?
They would give him money if they knew Betterow was going to get to ask him questions.
That's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Oh, to see those two go at each other, that'd be great.
Yeah, I want to do that on the Young Jurks. We'll do pay-per-view.
I'm
Although I think
cringing.
Betterow would. I think Betterow with one hand tied behind his back could like just smash the guy. That's right.
Oh,
You're an old
right.
wrestling guy. You're an old wrestler, aren't
Yes,
you?
yeah.
Yes, you're an
I
old
am.
wrestler. I heard you talk about that on one of your
When you said
episodes.
North Andover, that's my. I don't know if you know the name Von Hain, but it's a pretty legendary name in North Andover. He's 4-time state champ out of North Andover. He was the assistant coach my senior year in high school. North Andover was our big rival, the Scarlet Knights. They have an amazing wrestling team every year.
They have a lot of good sports teams, but I was
They do.
I was a commuter. I'm not a townie. I'm not a North
you're not a
Andover townie. I know townies. I work with townies, but I drove in there every day and drove home at the end of the day, and it's a great town. I really miss North Andover. What a great town! But one of the attorneys that owned the building that I was in all that time passed away. They sold the building, and so very reluctantly back in 2022, I had to move over to Methuen. Down the street from the Loop, which is a better location in terms of people can find it, but it's Methuen. Watch me get nasty comments for that.
You are. You will definitely get Methuen comments.
If you're from
They had a good
Methuen, pipe up.
Methuen had a good wrestling team too, but they're not North Andover. North Andover, special wrestling team for me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just
I don't.
my assistant coach, of my senior year, Von Hain, probably the greatest high school wrestler ever out of Massachusetts from North Andover. He coached us. So, I have a special place for North Andover. They were our rivals, too. They were, they always beat us.
I don't want to dox you, but what town were you in? You don't have to answer.
I went
if you don't.
I went to regional high school. Triton Regional High School was the
Where's that?
high school. It's Byfield, Mass, which is
Oh,
part
okay.
of Newbury. So
Oh,
it's
that's
in the
right next
village of
door.
Byfield. Yeah,
That's right
yeah.
next door, yeah.
Yeah, Triton is Newbury, Salisbury, and Raleigh. It's the public school for those 3 towns.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
It's like back in the day, Byfield, Newbury kids used to go to Newburyport High. I know some of the parents. So, and then eventually, in the early '70s, Triton got started. It was those 3 towns: Salisbury, Raleigh, Newbury. And Byfield people think it's a town. It's a village in Newbury.
Oh, I never knew that. I thought it was a
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, it's
I
like
had no idea.
Bradford and Haverhill. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a
Byfield
townie.
is a
I'm from.
village.
I grew up down in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. I've only been up here for about 50 years.
Ah, yeah. I grew up in the Byfield, Newbury, and I know it's funny the townie stuff because my brother and I, we looked like we were Pearsons. Pearsons are townies. That they basically run the town. A lot of them. They thought we were Pearsons because we had blonde hair and we used to hang around with all the Pearson kids. But a lot of kids, even the parents would say to you, "Oh, you're not a real townie. Your grandparents weren't born here." Because
Yeah.
we moved there when we were like 5 years old, so we weren't townies. We weren't. You're never a townie unless your grandparents were born there. That's.
Well, I've been in New England since I came up here at the age of 18 to go to college, and I never really went back except to visit my family. But I know that if I live to be 90 years old, I'll be walking down the street in some New England town, and somebody's going to walk up to me and say, "You're not from here, are you?"
I'm from here. I'll be like, "I've been here since I'm 5 years old." They're like, "Yeah, you're still not from here.
No, you're not a townie.
You're not a bubba. You're not a."
You're not from here. You're not
My
from
grandparents didn't know you.
here. My grandparents didn't know your grandparents. I used to fight with my paralegal. That nice girl, she moved on to a better job, unfortunately for me. But she was a nice girl, born and raised in New Hampshire. She's in her 20s. And here I've lived in New Hampshire for decades. So I said, I'm more of a New Englander than you are. Nope, I was born here. You weren't.
She's got a point. I mean that's was so about this Karen Reed stuff and the Canton stuff. What I got into so much too, it's like that towny thing, that towny mentality. Because I know it. I grew up among it. You know, it's like you're truly not. And so much of even like the Canton Police Force is like that. Like
Yeah.
Tom Kelleher, the assistant police chief, who I went to Bridgewater State with. I used to, knew him a little bit in college. His father was a cop. His grandfather was the police chief. All Canton police, like third generation Canton police. They all know each other. Like the McAlberts, they all know each other. And not just that, their parents know each other. You know, it's like decades.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jeff.
New Hampshire, live it or leave it.
Well,
Live
Laney,
free or
left it.
die.
look for your die. Laney, should we end this episode by reading our comments that we often read, or have we had enough?
Yeah, let's bust out the comments.
Okay, so you two have a conversation. Mike, you want to stick around for our comments, or
I could stick around. Whatever
sure?
you need. You need me
All
to
right.
go, or you want me to stay?
No, stay if
stay
you
with
want.
us, stay with us.
So stay.
I'll
You
stay.
guys talk while I find our comments. I didn't bring them up beforehand. Hang
Yeah,
on.
Mike, we usually will go through and we just look through some of the viewer comments. The lives are pretty good because we can actually see what's going on live, but we try to highlight a couple of insightful feedback that we've gotten through the week. I don't know if you do anything similar.
Oh yeah. I mean, usually I try to read them, but sometimes I miss them. It's
Yeah.
funny.
No,
You
well,
ever
that's
get yelled at. You're not paying attention to the chat.
Oh my gosh. Well, thankfully, we just started live streaming, and I feel like because people are so used to the video format where they leave a comment and never hear back. Although Andrew responds to almost every comment a lot of the times, but thankfully we haven't gotten flamed in chat yet saying you're not reading chat. Although I'm trying to keep up with it. This whole time I've been like going back and forth, thanking people for stopping in. We need I need your opinion on one of our commenters. Jeff Williams is saying that everybody is talking smack behind closed doors. Do you have any thoughts on that? And everybody's talking like Proctor is what they're getting at. My interpretation.
In terms of who's talking trash behind
Just
closed doors?
someone in our chat, when I was commenting that Proctor was being completely inappropriate and that no place is going to hire him like that, somebody in our chat was saying, well, everybody talks like that behind closed doors.
I mean, I'm sure there's some element of that. A lot of people do, but number one, you're Massachusetts State Police.
Yeah.
And number two, this is someone you're investigating. I was a financial advisor back in the day, and I was licensed and all of that, and we had rules in terms of confidentiality about our customers and keeping that information and not sharing it, even with spouses, even with family members. And you just don't do that shit. You don't. And a lot of times, like as a financial advisor, you might have some famous person. You might have you're not going to talk shit about them. You're not going to say to even your best friends, hey, I had that NFL player, blah, blah, blah. No, not saying it. You don't say it. And I don't know, financial advisors, there's certain level of credibility. State police is supposed to be held to a higher level than that. I'm sorry. Like, I know that we're licensed as a financial advisor, but state police, you expect even more. Like, it just, and especially for the murder of a Massachusetts state police. You think about any murder case, that state police has to be like at a level up here, like way beyond me gossiping about what NFL player I had as a financial advisor. If I could keep that secret, he's got to keep that secret because somebody's life is on the line, number one. And number two, it's the death of a Boston police officer. So there's no excuse for it. And the stuff he said, too, even if you do make that excuse, even if you do say, we all do it, okay, fine. It shows that he's bad at his job. That this guy made a decision about her guilt without weighing all the evidence, without doing any of the research. This guy made up his mind early, and it was the wrong decision. It wasn't backed up by evidence. And then when the evidence didn't go his way to his bad conclusion, he ignored it or covered it up. So there's a lot that this text messages show, even beyond the nasty words he made. It shows this mentality and the fact that he's not good at his job, doesn't care about his job. In this situation, at least, maybe not every single case, but on this case, he didn't seem to give it two shits and didn't take the job as seriously as it should be taken. So I think the texts show a lot of different things.
I
And
couldn't
you
agree
made,
with you. Go ahead,
yeah.
lady. I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
I was just gonna say you made a great point about being a financial advisor and not talking about the clients that you're having, because anybody, and I'm sure we have a million, well, not a million, but a bunch of people in the comments who are watching this right now who've worked in the medical field. Anybody who's worked in the medical field, I know that when I was working for an insurance company, if I so much as pulled up someone's information, it would log every single thing I did because of HIPAA. So it's just like, if the expectation is someone in the medical field isn't talking about people like this, is why are police not being held to that same standard, if not, like you said, higher, where the things are so much more, I'm not going to say more serious in the medical field, but they're still very
High
serious.
stakes.
Yeah.
It's a high stakes thing, and the death of a cop. Like, if you're a police officer, Mass State Police, this should be your highest, like, profile, the most important case that you cover, right? It's death of a police officer. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, both of you, especially Mike, when you were going through talking about, how you just have to be above reproach if you're a state police officer. You're investigating an M. You're investigating a serious crime. You're supposed to be above reproach. As attorneys, we're supposed to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. If
Right.
you have a conflict of interest, as happened just recently, in which case was it? And the judge, I think it was the Walsh case. A new attorney came in, and the judge said, "This guy was my supervising attorney at a law firm. I'm out." We have to just back away from even the appearance of impropriety. Even more important in Proctor's case was he was on the clock. He was on the clock. He was doing the investigation. The M had just been reported that day. I don't care if it's his own phone. He's on the clock. The Commonwealth's taxpayers are paying him to do a fair, decent, professional investigation. And how professional is it for him to go through the texts that we all know about? I'm not going to repeat them now. I mean, he violated the public trust that is given to him, and I don't care if for him to say, or for his attorney to say in his opening argument today that, for all the years before that day, before January 29th of 2022, he was a fantastic investigator, he was fine. Well, things happen, and something horrible happened that day, and he wasn't up to it. He just wasn't. Trying to add in our comments. Oh, Lainey, you know me. I did it again. I did it again. But this comment is from the Perception Trainers PT, watching from Malaysia, to add to your list. This was our 80th country. This was our 80th country, so that we added them to the list. And I don't want to get off topic, but my response was, whatever happened to MH370? And so we went back and forth quite. I don't know if you're into that stuff, Mike. MH370, the airliner that
I don't know what
disappeared.
happened to it.
No, nobody does.
idea.
But we actually went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in the comment section. But we'll leave that for another day.
So this one is from Phoebe MC. Go back and watch Alan Jackson with Kevin Spacey. Court Chopped has uploaded the trial, and it's amazing. New England was struggling then also. Betteros says Valley just makes the donuts. Haha, I wouldn't eat anything he made. This is the case that ruined Spacey's career and was a total sham, starring Heather Unruh herself. Oh, ruined her career too. And these are just our viewer comments that we get on our channel.
Mike, I think Bettero made that comment on your ear.
Time to make the donuts. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a famous one he'd say all the time. Time to make the donuts. Yeah, just like zombies running into a wall. There's so many of them.
Number 3, THR8833 says, everything is circles in this matter. The response from the feds is quite concerning. Then also when the defense to the judge to eliminate evidence they didn't get, the judge tells them they need to prove it's prejudicial. Wait a minute, what? How can you even know it's prejudicial unless you can see the evidence? This goes to our episode on the Walsh case, where the feds are saying, well, we'll give you some of it, but we're not going to give you all of it. So, pound sand. How would they know it's prejudicial if they cannot see it? Oh, that's what I just said. Feels like, after all, the law is used as a weapon against the citizens, not a protection. Mike, do you
Yeah.
have any thoughts about the Walsh
No, I
case?
think he makes. Well, I mean, the Walsh case. It's going to be sick if this guy gets off of what looks like what he did,
Yeah.
because again, Proctor and it just
Tully,
yeah.
the whole gang.
The whole gang. It's the same thing over and over again, and it's like we know evidence is getting thrown out now. We know things are getting thrown out. It doesn't look like everything is getting thrown out, but some things are.
And I don't
And
know if you saw the hearing. You probably did. I don't know if you saw the hearing where Walsh's, I'm sorry, where Brian Walsh's attorney was actually scoring some points and was kind of raising his voice at the judge about this.
Oh,
and
yes.
Walsh is like, his eyes are perking up, like,
Yeah, his eyes are getting big.
are we going to get
He's
some of
all
this
ego.
evidence? Are we going to get some of this evidence thrown out? Really, really, really? It was just made me
Yeah, it
sick.
even seemed like Walsh was like, because there was one hearing where they were hearing for King and Walsh, and you could tell Walsh was like listening to every single
Yeah.
detail, even on
Yeah.
the King stuff, because he's like, maybe this will help me too. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
just, you could tell his eyes are all bugged out, and he's.
But as long as
Yeah.
those searches go in, I don't know. As long
I
as
know.
those searches go in.
But just even the question of it, like this,
Yeah.
it's sick. This is the problem.
Oh, Laney, this is a good one. RNR, I don't know how to say this. Reiner M 1331 says, since you have to self-censor on the word M, you might try the time-honored euphemism red rum.
This
which
is one of
comes-
your favorites.
I
From
have
The
used
Shining.
that.
Shining,
Yeah.
The Shining.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
A wonderful, iconic movie.
I have used that occasionally. I have said red rum, but I don't know.
I
Mike,
also,
do you,
I was gonna
go
say, it
ahead.
might confuse people who are like under 30. Like, will they know? I don't know.
Mike, do you dance around not saying the M word as much as possible, or do you just not care? Sometimes I don't care.
I don't know. Sometimes maybe. Mostly, I mean, I have enough trouble speaking, so trying to censor myself just becomes
Oh,
an extra
stop
issue.
it. You're a very
I do.
articulate
I mean, I gotta
speaker.
say, like, I host a show now, right? Like, and I'm doing pretty well at it. But when I was a kid, I had speech impediments and stuff, So for me, it's like Joe Biden being president. I think the best thing I liked about him is the guy was a stutterer and became president. I mean, that shows you can overcome anything. That guy was not a great speaker. He worked at it. You got to do some hard work at it. But that's what I like about Joe Biden the most, is that it just shows you can do anything. You don't let anything limit you. I'm not supposed to be hosting a show, and I host a show, and I do pretty good. But I don't worry about things like that because like I said, I have enough trouble speaking and enough trouble getting words out. So I don't know.
I would never have guessed
Sometimes
that
I
about
say
you.
unalive, I guess.
you're a-
Maybe unalive is a word I use. But even that,
You're-
I think
I hate
think
that
what-
word.
I know.
That's
I do
it's
too.
not a
And
word.
I know, and I feel like if you start using those words, they're gonna figure that out anyways. Like YouTube, if you start using M and everyone else starts using M, then they're gonna go after M. Like the only ones I really worried about were the cannabis. I like sometimes I call it the broccoli when I post the titles because
The broccoli.
they will whack that. But even that, they let it go through. They
devil's
basically
lettuce.
flag it, and then, yeah. They flag it, and then you do the whatever you call it, the
Appeal.
appeal, and then they approve it because basically for cannabis, they just don't want you smoking out. They don't want you glorifying it. As long as you're talking about policy stuff, you're fine. I think the same thing with this stuff too. Like I think that they might flag it at first, but as long as you're not doing crazy shit, which we're not, we're just talking about reasonable stuff. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I'm not too worried about it.
Laney, I think you taught me, and I've read that they really are very critical of the first 90 seconds. So don't say that word in the first 90 seconds. Don't say anything objectionable in the
Until
first
they
90
change
seconds.
it tomorrow. And
Well,
like you say,
Yeah, yeah.
until they change it tomorrow. That's the
I've
thing.
said the
The
word.
algorithm changes the rules. Shit. That's the whole problem on other stuff. It changes that tomorrow. It could be that way today. Tomorrow it could be totally something
No,
else.
you're right. The algorithms changes. It's like a snake. It slithers around. It's
Yeah,
not.
and I lost the comment, but someone was even mentioning one of the new algorithm changes is that they decide whether your channel's 18 plus or under 18, or if it's a kids channel, and they do all of this behind the scenes. So I can't find the comment right now, but they said that YouTube doesn't even care anymore because now it marks channels certain ways. So I've heard that before.
I like that idea. because then we won't have to worry about it because most of our audience is way above 18. Like the average viewer, I look it up, is an X generation, baby boomers. That's it. That's who watches our shows. Some millennials, a few millennials, some millennials, but no 15-year-old is watching these shows.
One of many problems I have with censoring the M word is because, do you remember Angela Lansbury? And she did the show for many years. Murder, She Wrote. And you know what?
That was a good show.
And
it's a good show.
The concern, it was a great show. Angela Lansbury is a character. She's a character. Yeah. But the concern is, the advertisers are offended if you use that word. Well, no, because the network that she was on, sold that show, to
Millions.
tons of sponsors.
It was
I can't remember
one.
who they were. I can't remember who the sponsors were, but they sold that show. Sponsors were fighting to get into the prime slots of that show. So what's this worry about sponsors? What are they selling? Cheerios? People that eat Cheerios can't hear that word? Is that it? People that eat Pop-Tarts can't hear that word?
I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah.
And it also, from a legal point of view, from a strictly legal point of view, and I know we've gotten off strictly legal focus today, but from a legal point of view, M is a legal word in all 50 states. There are statutes in all 50 states about M. So why are we dancing around? And I refuse to say unalived. It's not a word.
Here's my problem with the cannabis word, because here I am covering the Cannabis Control Commission, a state agency, and they're censoring me on YouTube.
That's crazy.
But now apparently you can, like I said, you hit the box, and then they'll approve it eventually. Funny.
All right. So for our last comment, or I don't know if this is our last one, but hold on.
You can't say pot.
Oh my God. See, I didn't even identify it as pot. Pot to left. Start dismissing cases, including murder charges, aka Miles' case, and see how fast the state gets their act together, their shiz together specifically.
Yeah. So I think. Go ahead.
I would say so. I think that's, Turtle Boy's been rooting for that, actually. I can't go there. I can't root for killers to be free. I just can't go there.
No,
but that would be the silver lining, right? If the worst happens here, the silver lining is that people finally wake up. Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, well, Proctor was an idiot. He's shady, but Karen Freed probably did it, so whatever. Like a lot of people feel like that. They're over it, right? But if these killers go free, it's going to be right in their faces, and there's nobody's going to be in delusion at that point. That will shake up this state like you've never seen anything shake before. So I can see why Turtle Boy is rooting for that, actually. But I just can't go there. I can't do that. But, it's like silver lining if it happens.
So now these are the 80 countries we've heard from. These are the 80 countries we've heard from. They're all in alphabetical order. We started this, about a year ago, Lainey? I can't even remember when we started. But
I don't even know if it's been a full year, yeah.
But we said if you are following the Karen Reed case, let us know. Give us a comment. Give us a shout out. Give us a question. What?
I'm looking for Ireland.
Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland are both on the list.
Oh, so that's how you do it. You do it two different. Yeah. I didn't realize you're official. You are. All right, there it is. Republic of Ireland. Okay. Okay.
I said I was gonna retire the list after the Karen Reed case, but I changed my mind. So if
you got a new one, because you got a new one tonight too.
Yeah, we did. We got Malaysia. So if anybody out there is watching us and you're not on this list, they are in alphabetical order, let us know. So enough about that. And now we go to our Koberger comments. Fieldsy5481 says, this case does not make any sense. It's going to drive me crazy for years. And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry that it's so long. Oh, this was a good one. I don't know if you want to read the whole thing, Lainey, or if you want me to read it, but it was a good one. It was a good one.
So, Charles Blifffield, as soon as the house was cleared safe, which happened after a minute, it should have been locked down and all people who entered logged wearing full suit, booties, masks, and gloves. Instead, we have numerous people tromping about gloveless and a student who appears to put a knife on a table. Combine this all with testimony about cleaning the house, evidence of cleaning such as Trey's blood footprints, a bloody glove discovered after 2 weeks, blood-contaminated blanket, and a jacket inside Dylan M's room, and highly questionable circumstances for locating the infamous knife sheath, you have what I would call a completely contaminated crime scene and reasonable doubt from this alone. They have not released the photos of the sheath. Why?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot that I had put some rather lengthy ones in here, but I did it because I thought they were good comments. This one is from Joanna. This one is from Joanna Chavez. Totally agree that is not the way to interrogate witnesses. Everything in that investigation is so corrupted. And Mike, I don't know if you're really following this case at all, but in the new video, they showed the Moscow, Idaho police interviewing Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen, and other people are just standing around. In fact, they're listening to each other. At one point, Dylan didn't know how to spell one of the names of one of her roommates, and one of the other people across the street was consulted. That is not how you conduct an investigation of even spitting on the sidewalk, much less a red rum case, a quadruple red rum case, and the witnesses are just all milling around listening to each other. No. You throw them in the back of a cruiser individually, take them down, separate them, and so that's what this commenter is talking about. Not to mention that DM testimonies are so compelling, she doesn't even sound credible, and how negligent she was about not calling 911 after all the commotion she heard. And of course, that crime scene was partially clean right after the crime. Maybe that is why they took 8 hours to take an action to call 911. They are not telling the whole truth. Attorney Myers, you need to take a look at Pavarotti's analysis of the entire police reports. And I do watch everything, and I do watch him, and he's great. But what I don't know what you think, Mike, but there's so many different people with different backgrounds, different perspectives, different ways to present information, that's great. I like Pavarotti, and he likes me because he copied some of our stuff in one of his episodes, which is fine. But we're different. I'm not going to do what he does. I like him and I watch him, but I'm not going to do his gig. That's his gig. And in fact, if I did his gig, I'd probably get a copyright strike. So,
Alrighty.
I just got messed up. I'm
No, you're good.
sorry.
All right. So this one is from Debbie Hannah 1631. OMG, thank you for looking at this case. This whole thing is nothing but a lie. Sorry, too many questions. And again, this is our viewer comments, not our words or a representation of how we feel. Dylan is so fake. Absolutely not. Absolutely, you're not being an ogre, Mr. Myers. Please stay on this. Please draw attention. It needs to get this case reviewed. Yes, maybe other things could have happened to them if they called 911, but they were very good at making up stories. Use the movie Scream to describe events straight out of a movie. Come on, Mr. Myers. I love your comments. Absolutely agree with you on this. Feel present as you do about the stench. The media, OMG, how did not push the story to convince the people?
And this one goes on to a second page.
Okay. At first, I was certain Brian did this. I absolutely did not believe he did this. I fear for his safety because the media has done a great job to convict him. Shame on these people. Shame. Someone needs this whole thing reviewed. The college needs to be shut down. The police department needs to shut down and revamp. The prosecutor, what a horrible human being. He even looks evil and crooked and is a sellout, letting her client take the fall. Every one of the officials involved in this are graduates of Moscow University. Come on, the corner. What a who. Fire her butt. Oof.
Wow. I just thought that was a good comment. Usually we ask people to be pithy so I can put it on one page, but I thought that was a good comment, whether I agree or not. I mean, the Moscow University is not going to be shut down. Excuse me, what I didn't know is that's the only law school in Idaho. That's the only law school in Idaho. So that's why everybody went to that law school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another page? No.
Ah.
Yeah, there's another page. Call your dentist father and not tell him everything that happened, and instead not ask for guidance. No, just complain about a toothache. Give me a break. The whole story stinks. Okay, I see now. Idaho thinks they are the only ones who have a brain, and the rest of us are downright stupid, including Dylan. She thinks we are really stupid to fall for her worst actor audition and getting rich in the process. Lastly, a lot of the officials retired or retiring to protect their pensions. You know, we have taken some grief just for asking questions about why Dylan and Bethany didn't call in and about their conduct just seems questionable, and we've taken a lot of grief. I know it. Somebody actually personalized it and said that I should burn in hell or things like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody took the religious route and really took out after me and said I belong in hell. Those weren't their exact words, but something to that effect, that I'm a horrible human being. But there are questions, they're legitimate questions, and that's how I see it. I don't care how anybody else sees it. I don't care how all the other, I know there's a ton of YouTubers out there, attorneys and non-attorneys, and, that's how I feel, and I'll just be honest about it.
All right, so this one is from Mike Z6F. Yeah, that's going to be some BS. How are you going to ask one of the young ladies 100 times and then continue to unalive 3 other people and less than 2 minutes makes no sense. Why would they even make that statement? Yeah, the timeline is still I can't think of it's not sad. Like, I don't want to say satisfying. I feel like satisfying is the right word, or not the right word, but it just doesn't sound right.
Yeah, there was a police report. We'd mentioned this all the way back in the very beginning, Mike, before we brought you in. There were 2 police reports. There was a police report that said they tried to reenact the thing twice, and that Koberger could have done it in 1.5 minutes or 2.5 minutes. And when I saw that, I lost all respect for law enforcement in this case. The case of the Idaho 4, Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. I said to myself, no.
The thing I get worried about is them focusing on Dylan. I mean, I don't know enough about it. I haven't investigated it, but I just worry that they're harassing her. Because I feel like it's okay to ask questions. That's one thing, but when you point the finger at somebody, I think there's been a lot of pointing the finger, and I think he did it. I think they got the right guy. I think he confessed to it, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I agree with you with the point at Dylan, like not or people pointing at her, where it's like you said, it's okay to ask questions and it's okay to have concerns. But I mean, we get it. I think to a lesser extent. I don't want to say small channels because we are still big channels, but at the same time, it's like this is a worldwide case. People are hearing about this. I can't imagine being one of the surviving victims and having the harassment of all these people come online, because we are able to be adults and have mature conversation and not be like, oh, she's a terrible person, da, 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 da. But like, we're not like there. It concerns me that there probably are people that are going out of their way to harass them.
Well, I don't think either one of them should be harassed, but I do think there's a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of questions in the case. I think there was a failure to add, kind of similar to the Reed case. There was a failure to.
Yeah, it's the small town law enforcement too. I bet they don't have 4 people dead a lot.
No, they hadn't had any murders since 2018. There had not been a single M in Moscow, Idaho since 2018. And this happened in 2022. So granted, I'll give them that. Granted, they did the right thing in calling the Idaho State Police in, and then ultimately the FBI. So they did do that. So I give them that. But I mean, there are a lot of things that are just textbook. Anybody that watches CSI or Forensics Files, Mike, that's one of my favorite TV shows is Forensics Files. I think I've seen them all.
Oh yeah, but we used to watch a lot of that. My girlfriend loves that. Loves all that stuff. Forensic Files. It's so funny. I know. You've listened to a show a long time when you can hear it in the intro in your head, like Law and Order or Forensics File. I know the Forensics Files one. It's a very distinctive intro.
Yeah. And I can't stand that guy's voice. I just can't stand his voice. But the show is so fascinating that I watch it. I just I can't help myself. I thought I knew all the episodes, and then I think what was about 2 years ago they dropped a whole bunch of new episodes. So it's a good show. And I think my point was, I think anybody that watches Forensics Files or CSI knows basic stuff, like as soon as you get to a crime scene, you seal it off.
Right.
You call in and you say,
yep.
we need a case agent, we need a lead prosecutor, we have to have somebody in charge of the site. Nobody goes, like you just said, nobody goes in and out unless they're logged. They wear the booties, as one of our commenters just said. They wear the booties. They wear gloves. You search the whole area around there. If there's any witnesses, you separate them out. You don't let them stand around and talk in the street to each other to get their stories straight. So, there it is. Amazing Grace, that's rude. I still have questions. I still have questions about that case. I have serious questions about that case. I have serious questions about what happened. Why was it 8 hours? No, I don't buy the story as to why it was 8 hours. I don't buy it. There's something very fishy about that case. Sorry. Call me rude. I've been called worse.
No,
Man.
they were
How's
calling a different commenter rude because someone said I look like I'm in pain whenever I speak.
I thought they were accusing me of being rude.
No.
Never mind.
They were sticking up for me.
Someone
Shout
had
out.
your back. Someone had Laney's back.
Are you okay, Lainey?
I guess I'm in pain. I didn't realize it, but I'm
Oh.
suffering out here apparently. No, it's just the
Some of
commenters.
the-
I was
Yeah, I would say some of the commenters out there, it's just hilarious. Like I'll be having the best day ever and feel like I'm having the best day, and I feel like everyone gets it, and they'll be like, "Why is Mike so depressed today?" They'll be like that one comment, and you're like, "Are you shitting me? I am so happy right now. What do I have to do?"
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of my favorite comment that I've ever had was complaining about my woke camera angle, and I was told my friends about that, and for the next, like, we were hanging out in Woke Chester, we were doing woke activities, like there's a store called
What
the
is a
Bookery.
woke camera angle?
Yeah,
What is
my woke camera angles.
is
I'm
that?
in pain. I got woke camera angles. Yeah, it's just if there's anything like even things that don't exist to comment on, people are gonna comment on it. So Andrew, one of the things that was nice working with him is because you see all the time, Mike, on YouTube, where it's like you'll get all these crazy comments. Andrew was very good at letting them roll off his shoulders, and I'm also like, thankfully, I'm able to just a lot of the time ignore them. But there's always going to be someone.
Look, our friend Evil says, Lainey, you have a great glow to you. Forget them.
The great glow, my blasting
know-
light.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know. Sometimes, most of the time, I let them go, but every once in a while, I'll just be like, you know what? Turtle Boy can do it. I can do it. I can just yell at them. I'll like go off on them. I'll be like, I just laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to be too snippy, but sometimes, sometimes I get a little snippy.
Sometimes it's funny too. Like
So,
sometimes
yeah.
it's like there's something to pick on them about. It's just like,
Yeah.
you got a bit, and you're just gonna go with it.
My toxic trait is I like to be a menace back.
Yeah.
Well, Lainey's heard this story, but Mike, you haven't heard this story. I used to be a TV reporter back in the day, and we would drive around town with these cars that had the logo of the TV station
That's
on
right.
it. And
They still
we
do
would
that.
beg to. Half of the cars were like that, and half of the cars were unmarked. And we would beg to get the unmarked
Unmarked.
cars. Please don't make us go out. And we called the ones that had the logos the asshole magnets because
Yeah.
this
Oh, I
actually
can't
happened.
imagine.
This actually happened more than once. We would pull up to a red light, we'd be stopped, and another car would pull up next to us. They'd roll down their window and just like, "Fuck you! That TV station sucks! You suck!" And we heard it all the time. People just thought it was their opportunity to give us their opinion.
Let
So
you know.
so we rode around in the asshole magnets. Can I say that on YouTube? So like, after a while, after that happens a few times, it's just like, yeah, so what?
Don't
Who
care.
cares? You're
who cares?
being a jerk. You're
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, drinking beer or whatever. So
Yeah.
so when
Probably
people,
had a bad day. Yeah.
when
Yelling at
people
you with
say,
the road soda.
and I used to delete comments, but then I learned that you don't delete comments because the algorithm doesn't like that. Every comment is engagement. So
Exactly.
I do one of two things. I either ignore them, or sometimes I'll say, but yet, you left this hateful comment, but yet you liked us enough to give us a view and a comment, and that helps us with our engagement and our standing with the algorithm, so I'll thank them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Like a lot of them too. Like some of the people who hate you the most are the biggest fans.
It's like,
They're the
that's
ones who are
fine.
watching. Yeah. Keep
It's
watching.
like, so it's engagement. Say whatever you want to me. I really don't care. I guarantee you, I've heard worse. I guarantee
Totally.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, in high school, I heard it all.
Yeah, exactly.
College was better, but then I got out and I got in the media. I heard it all. So you know what?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. And I think, like you said, is just like hearing it in person, like, because online it's just letters on the screen. In person, screaming at your van just for the news station you work at. Oh my God, I wouldn't be able to handle it.
I actually know someone, and you met him, Laney, who worked at Channel 7 at the same time that Howie Carr worked briefly at Channel 7. And my friend is a TV videographer, and he would drive around town with Howie. People would shout all kinds of not nice things at Howie. It's what people do. They see somebody, and they just, they shout it out. Now, Howie has, to circle back to what we were talking about before, Howie has fans like us, but he also has people that don't like him very much because he doxes people. He exposes the payrolls of various people. He says not very nice things about Senator Live Shot Kerry. He says not very nice things about, the governor, past governors, present governors. And so these people all have staffs that live on Beacon Hill and live in Back Bay. And so when they would drive in these areas, people would just give Howie all kinds of rude comments. And my cameraman friend told me all about it. And Howie wasn't at Channel 7 very long, but he did work there for a while. But that's just what we all get in the media. That's what we get.
Totally. Totally.
And the guys that are, in the editorial rooms, and they're dwindling down, but the guys that are in the editorial rooms at the newspapers, they're separated from all this. They don't realize.
Yeah, they hide. They're the ones who
Yeah.
control everything, and they hide. You don't even know their names half the time. It's so funny.
No.
It's driving around recently. First time it ever happened. I'm driving and people are yelling at me. I look over and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, Young Jurks! I'm like, oh my God. They're like taking pictures of me, and I'm like, what the fuck did you? Excuse me. How did you see me? Like, I'm driving a car. So I mean, I can imagine. Like, for me, like I get recognized now more often than I'm surprised. But I can't imagine being somebody on that like level, like where you're like Paul McCartney or something, like like where you're worldwide, like everybody knows your face. You know what I mean?
But people love that guy. I mean, look, he's 80-some years old and he's still writing, and he and Ringo and Eric Clapton just announced that they're going to be doing a tour this year.
He's still playing,
Oh.
yeah.
I want tickets to see those three guys
You do,
together.
huh?
Oh my God! Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I got? Last time he came into town, I got a dog sit.
You got what?
I'll just say, since I'm not gonna give any info. Remember how he said confidentiality?
Yeah.
One of our customers is friends with them.
With whom?
Friendly with them. Friendly with Paul.
No way.
A musician.
way.
Let's put it that way. That's why they're friends.
Okay.
They've done stuff together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Last time Paul came into town, I got a dog sit. I took care of the dogs while they hung out with friggin' Paul McCartney.
Oh my God!
Oh my
Imagine,
That is awesome.
imagine, like,
Yeah.
I'm taking care of your dog and you're with Paul McCartney. What the hell? We gotta change the system here.
Yeah.
I gotta be hanging out with Paul.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah, Paul and Ringo and Eric Clapton are gonna be, they're calling it the last tour. I don't know why they're calling it the last tour, but I guess because they're all in their 80s at this point, and
I
it's
think
like,
it might be the last tour.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times has Kiss had a last tour? Or Motley Crue, and they
all those
all
guys.
say that. Right?
Metallica. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Mike, it has been fantastic having you on our
Thank you.
tiny little podcast. We'll have to do it again. I really
Tiny.
appreciate you giving us the time. Be sure to send me that
I will, the GoFundMe.
link, and I will put the link down on the bottom, not only of this live, but also the 2 episodes we generally drop on the weekends. So I would encourage people to support you and to contribute to your fund, because what happened to you is just totally wrong. It's just totally wrong.
Yeah.
So I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. And I just should say, I know you referenced that show I did about it. Some people were mad at me because I didn't read the complaint about it. But I felt like if I read that complaint, I would give too much editorial and give them too much ammunition.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you kind of saving me from doing that tonight as well. But it's ridiculous, that you have to go through all this to
Well,
defend your own name.
you read your attorney's answer to the
Response.
complaint.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and you read that, and that really went into a lot of detail and kind of like gave us a snapshot of the important highlights of the case. So I think you did enough. I think you did more than enough. And I would
That's what I
recommend that
felt
people.
like. But some people were saying, "Oh, you should have started." But I agree. I felt like it was enough.
If I hope it never happens to me, and I'm sorry that it happened to you because it shouldn't happen to anybody that's a journalist and trying to get the facts out there. But if it ever happened to me, I don't know if I'd want to talk about it at all. I really don't.
I know it's hard. It's like, do you want it? Because you kind of want it because you clear your name. Like
Right.
I wouldn't have said anything, but Grant Smith Ellis is throwing it out there. You know what I mean? Like people get the info on their own, and then they decide to attack you with it. So it's like, what do? Do you say nothing, or do you defend yourself?
Well, as you know, we attorneys always advise our clients to say nothing. Don't say
I know.
anything. So you have a great attorney, and so I'm not going to give any advice because it's not my place. But I'm sure your attorney told you, I don't want you saying anything because stuff can get twisted around. Now, Karen Reed
I know.
did
And
speak.
it's just hard when you're doing a show like this because
Yeah.
credibility means a lot, and people are
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So it is hard. And normally I would definitely never say anything, but when you're doing a show, it's a little different,
Yeah, if it
It's
happened to
about
me,
the
I would
show.
want to tell people to go F themselves. But I mean, I would have to have an attorney to bridle me. I would have
I
to
know,
have an
right?
attorney to don't.
Hopefully, I was careful enough with what I've said so far. I think I'm pretty good.
No, I think you did a good job. It's just that, anything you say can be twisted
I know.
around. Like, you saw what
sucks.
Hank Brannon did with the comments that Karen Reed made. I was very concerned when she made those comments. As an attorney, my initial knee-jerk reaction was, don't say anything.
I
But he was
get it.
very inartful in his, and he would play like a little clip. He would play like a 30-second clip out with no context at all. And if I'm in the jury, I'm saying, what is this? What the
know.
hell is this? I mean, had I been trying the case and I wasn't trying the case, had I been trying the case and had I been the prosecutor, which I wasn't, I certainly would have just played little clips of it. I would have put it together into some kind of a presentation, saying, look what she said. But he didn't. He's not smart enough to do it that way.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Well, this is the longest episode we ever did.
I'm a talker. Yeah,
You do it all the time. You do these all the time, but we never do. We never do.
yeah. You just go for hours on a stream. Unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah, we
But
didn't
I
even
should
play.
get going too.
Okay, Mike, thank you
should
very
get
much. We appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. I promise, if you ever come back, we won't keep you this long. I promise, I promise, I promise.
No worries. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a joy. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for anybody watching, be sure to subscribe to the Young Jurks. And if you're not already subscribed to the About the Law podcast, please be sure to subscribe to our channel as well. And comment, even if it's nice or
Yes.
mean.
Thank you, lady and attorney Andrew Myers.
Good night, Mike. Have a good one. Be well. Laney, we've never done one this long, ever. Ever.
Nope,
This
let's
is-
run. I'm going to run the outro for us, all right?
Do it.
Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comments section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.